Let us enjoy a deep breath together. Clearing the mind with each breath. Simply allowing thought to float away like balloons, hot air balloons, lifting up from your head, gently lifting away thoughts. We are transcending the thinking mind. And breathe. And remember who you are, a representation of cosmic source, absolute reality, the infinite one and all source. And as you breathe intentionally, relax the body, dispelling with your intention and your breath tenseness, stuckness, tightness, stagnant energy, pooled energy. Breathe, expand the belly, and circulate energy freely around your body and your ethereal, energetic bodies. Breathe and circulate the energy. Moving. Chi is best when it is moving. Move your chi. While your body is still, this is complete movement of energy. As you breathe in, breathe all the way down into the belly. Expand the belly. No longer high chest panters. We are deep breathers. No more panting. Breathe and expand the belly. As you release the breath, release with an ah. And again, breathing deeply at your own pace, release with an ah. Ah tells your body you're having a good time. And it also connects you with, as Dr. Pulai teaches, the ah beings, great cosmic forces that can come to your aid. Whether you believe it or not, ah is a sacred sound. Use it often, you'll feel better. Deep breath in, release with an ah. Now we will recalibrate the nervous system for joy, out of fear, out of disappointment, out of hate, out of anger, all manifestations of fear. Fear is not real. We simply get to dispel it. We will do a 4-4-4. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Release for 4. Go at your own 4-4-4 pace. And we begin. In for 4. Hold for 4. Release into your own count of 4. Hold for 4. Release to 4. Even breaths. You may begin to see sacred geometry form before your third eye. You may see a square. Deep breath in for 4. Hold for 4. Release for 4. Begin. Your 4 count is a perfection and an installation of the divine energy of 4. You may see that there is a floor missing to your square. Add the floor as the ground of being. Ground of being is always there. It is the quantum field, the absolute. Nothing is missing. Inhale for 4. This time at the top, as you hold the 4, smile. Inhale for 4. Hold and smile for 4. Exhale to 4. Again, inhale to 4. Hold and smile to 4. Exhale to 4. Inhale to 4. Hold for 4. Smiling. Exhale to 4. Perfectly even breaths with an even pause. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4, smiling. Exhale to 4. You may notice sensations in the body temple, perhaps clearing, cleansing, energy moving. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4, smiling. Exhale for 4. And as you inhale, straighten the spine, go up for 4. Go up energetically, go up for 4. Hold for 4, smiling. Down, exhale for 4. Inhale for 4. Hold for 4. Smiling. Exhale for 4. And scan your entire body, specifically scanning the nervous system from the tip of your crown to the bottom of your feet. Sweep your body with your third eye, observing, scanning the nervous system. Upon finding any pockets of dense energy, stuckness, tightness, or where the information, energy, is not flowing freely, breathe into these spaces. Breathe and free up the energy. Breathe. Scan the nervous system. See all its branches go throughout the entire being. Nervous system connected to source energy. Nervous system being electromagnetic. Breathe. Feel the tingle throughout the entire being. And if not yet, all good. Continue to deep breathe. Now draw into the nervous system through the crown of your head, divine light energy. Draw it in through your scalp. This is heaven energy. See it infuse the brain, divine light energy. See it travel down the spine, divine light energy. See it go through the body, divine light energy. Calibrating, recalibrating the nervous system for higher dimensions of consciousness, for being a conduit for greater voltage, electromagnetic energy. One cannot wield magic with a nervous system that is not attuned. Or the highest form of magic each of us are capable of. Attune the nervous system. See the divine light cascading, infusing, correcting, expanding the capacity of the nervous system. See it in the third eye. This is use of the imagination used for magic. With the breath now aligned with the nervous system recalibrated, the nervous system infused with divine light, we now bless the nervous system. We bless the brain, the spine, conduits of divine energy, not sources of divine energy, conduits, the brain, a perfect conduit of divine energy, the spine, housing the circuitry for the nervous system. Bless your spine. Bless the neurons in the brain. Bless the entire nervous system that goes all the way to the tippy tips of your toes, including your nails. Bless your nails. Nervous system registering sensation on the third dimension. We bless the nervous system for doing a spectacular job of taking care of the apparatus, the communication device known as the body. You have a body, you are the steward of the body. You are the one that gets to tune it up, align it, correct it, hook it up to divine mind. That's what meditation is for, among many other reasons. We meditate. We meditate every morning. We meditate throughout the day. We meditate upon falling asleep at night. Meditation is your best friend. Deep breath. and ready yourself to give an aspect of your awareness to the third dimension. You are a multidimensional being, existing beyond time and space, and having a temporary experience, a temporal experience in the time-space continuum. Yet you are far beyond the time-space continuum. Our origin is source, which is beyond space and time. You are not ruled by space and time. You rule time and space with your mind. Breathe. And allow. Opening the eyes slowly as you're ready. Stretch. Now we receive A Course in Miracles, Lesson 33. There is another way of looking at the world. Today's idea is an attempt to recognize or recognize that you can shift your perception of the world in both its outer and inner aspects. What a powerful being you are. A full 5 minutes should be devoted to the morning and evening applications. In these practice periods, the idea should be repeated as often as you find comfortable, though unhurried applications are essential. So we can repeat the idea as much as we desire, as long as it is unhurried. There is another way of looking at the world. Alternate between surveying your outer and inner perceptions, but without an abrupt sense of shifting. This is a lilting smoothness. Have a smoothness, an energy of smoothness as we engage the exercise. We alternate now. Before, the Course had us look at our whole outer world, maybe for a full day. Then some exercises had us look at our inner world for the whole day. And now we had exercises that had us look at our outer world first and then our inner world. And now we have an exercise that is bringing it together, that is integrating it for the 365-day curriculum. We are on day 33, integrating the inner and outer worlds, our perceptions, looking at it. So we are looking at the outer, shifting to the inner, looking at the outer, shifting to the inner. No rush, unhurried, no abruptness when you shift, no abruptness. Merely glance casually around the world you perceive as outside yourself. That's also a perception, so we'll just go with it, because the Course uses our perceptions to bring us home to source. Then close your eyes and survey your inner thoughts with equal calmness. Remember, this is a calming mental exercise. Try to remain equally uninvolved with both. The Course has continued to stress to us the requirement that it is essential that we do not get all caught up in what we see in either the outer or the inner world perceptions, that we are a neutral observer. We are what is called the witness. Try to remain equally uninvolved in both. You're not getting involved in either the outer world or the inner world. And to maintain this detachment, and to repeat the idea throughout the day, this is giving us a little bit more space in between what we perceive as ourselves. We perceive our thoughts as ourselves. So this is giving a little space that you can watch your thoughts, and maybe your thoughts are not you. Not maybe, absolutely. If you can watch it, then it obviously is not you. You can observe it casually, as a casual observer. These shorter exercise periods should be as frequent as possible. So we'll have a 5-minute in the morning and a 5-minute at night. We'll do the 5-minute here together as we do every morning. We get one done. So now all you have to concern yourself with is your exercise throughout the day and your 5-minute at night. Remember, we graduated from 3 minutes. Remember when we started with 1 minute. We've graduated. Look how we've graduated throughout the 33 days. If you're brand new here and you've never been here before, welcome. Hop in now. It's always now o'clock, baby. As one of my coaches used to say, it's always now o'clock. He had a clock in his office and it had now on it. And the hands were always pointed to now. It's now o'clock. Specific applications of today's idea should also be made immediately when any situation arises which tempts you to become disturbed. Every day we get some temptations. The Course calls them temptations. A temptation to get angry, a temptation to be impatient, a temptation to be irritated. Irritation is nothing more than veiled rage, as we have learned. Fury, pure fury, underneath the surface, it's an iceberg. Like many of our feelings, we get a little tick in our face, like, and underneath the surface, if we were to dig deep, we would find unbridled rage. Well, anytime we have such a temptation, we're not trying to suppress it, we're not trying to avoid it, we're not trying to be delusional, we're simply applying today's idea to the temptation. That's all it asks us to do. It doesn't ask us to think about the temptation. It doesn't ask us to wonder why people always do this. It doesn't ask us to wonder why. My big thing that I have now in my mind is, why is C still here 2 years later? Okay? It doesn't ask us to give our analysis or our running commentary on anything that we're observing or the temptation. It simply says, apply it to the temptation. For these applications, say, there's another way of looking at this. Something makes you upset. There's another way of looking at this. Somebody says something you don't like. There's another way of looking at this. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. There's another way of looking at this. Your kids do something you don't like. They made a huge mess. There is another way of looking at this. Just pause and tell yourself, there is another way of looking at this. You read a comment on social media you don't like. There is another way of looking at this. Things are not quite working out the way you want them to with that creation of yours, that book you're writing, that video you're creating. There is another way of looking at this. You're trying to learn something and it's very challenging. There is another way of looking at this. That's all. It's very simple. Remember to apply today's idea the instant you are aware of distress. The second it comes up, there is another way of looking at this. Say it to yourself now. There is another way of looking at this. Again, there is another way of looking at this. Make it a habit. There is another way of looking at this. Again, there is another way of looking at this. See, the snap gets it into the consciousness. There is another way of looking at this. There is another way of looking at this. It may be necessary to take a minute or so to sit quietly. If you really get a temptation into distress, a temptation, hey, want to get angry? That's what the temptation looks like. Hey, want to get sad and depressed? Look at these problems over here. Oh, Oh, that's the temptation the Course is talking about. Hey, want to feel unworthy and undeserving of love? How about this? Look, they're not paying attention. Look, they're ghosting you. Ah, there is another way of looking at this. Snap yourself out of it. There is another way of looking at this. A temptation to be confused. You're reading something in a really powerful esoteric book, a magic book, a witchcraft book, a spell book, and you're wanting to understand it, and you're reading it, it's not coming together, you're confused. It's a temptation, it's an invitation into confusion. The mind trying to confuse you. You don't understand this. You know everything that's in that book. You're an infinite, immortal being. You've been here since before the foundations of time. How can you not understand anything that you desire to understand? It's an impossibility. It's a temptation into confusion. Ah, there is another way of looking at this. And depending on the level of temptation, right? Depending on how much distress we start stirring up, it may be necessary to take a minute or so to sit quietly and repeat the idea to yourself several times. See, this is mind training. Remember our mantra for the year 2022. We're making 2022 spectacular. 2022 is the year all your dreams come true. We're remembering our mantra. Our mantra is an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. Tell yourself, an untrained mind can accomplish nothing. When you're creating with your mind, yes, you're creating your dream life with your mind. It begins in mind. The universe is mental. Closing your eyes will probably help in this form of application. Let us set our chimes for 5 minutes. Prepare yourself. We will begin with the day's idea. There is another way of looking at the world. ACIM Lesson 33. We're going to do 5 minutes and begin. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at the world. And there are our chimes, and breathe, and the floor is open. A Course in Miracles, Lesson 33. There is another way of looking at the world.
Well, for me, I definitely got a great appreciation of looking at the world differently over the past 24 hours. I have a lot of different things going on that have been causing me stress, a lot of stress. And I had a conversation, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, but it's all been like a blur. But having a conversation with you and of course Dr. Jiwa, and it instantly made me look at the world differently. Instead of stressing over what other people are doing or what they may do, know that it's always their choice. And for me, that is a much different way of looking at the world, because I've always went around with an S on my chest, trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho, trying to make sure everybody else was all good. And it does something to your own spirit when taking on all the cares and concerns of everyone else. So looking at the world still, of course, I'm trying to find a balance. When we talk about the opposite polar polarity, I'm trying to find a balance of being empathetic and compassionate while letting people make their own decisions and knowing it's their decision to make, and not being so overly concerned about what may or may not even happen, and not being overly concerned about what is inevitable to happen. Like, death is inevitable, and there's nothing that anyone can do about it. So it's like, why worry so much about something that no one can do anything about, and instead look at it differently as a joyous occasion, which I can't even really say that without cringing, but just trying to look at the world differently so that I'm not as stressed as I've been the last couple of weeks. And it's been very, very helpful to just look at it differently. And it's been very freeing, and it feels as though a weight has been lifting off of my shoulders. So just consciously trying to look at things differently these past couple of days. I was so happy when when that was the lesson for today, I was like, oh, this is what I've been doing ever since I hung up the phone with you and Dr. G, because Dr. G was sliced me and I didn't even know I was cut. I was like, wow. So just seeing things differently from a perspective of life is all about choices. Everybody has choices, and every moment of every day we're choosing something. So what are we choosing at every moment of every day? And everything that we're choosing is having a lasting effect. So what kind of effect do we want? And I'm complete.
Were the things that you were concerned about to do, are you okay with talking a bit about what you were concerned about, what you were worried about without giving away information about other people?
I'm just not sure how to do that. I mean, I don't mind doing it. I'm not sure how to tell the story without telling the story.
Okay, well, that is excellent, Harmony. That is excellent. Because family, there is a way to speak about your experience without telling a story. You see, a story is he said this to me, and then I said that to him, and then she did over there, and then he moved over there to the sofa, and then I did that. You know, the thing that you tell your girlfriends? That's the story. The deeper experience is speaking from your experience, what was going on for you, and you can name the trigger. Okay, the trigger for me was one of the triggers was you saw that Miss USA decided to end it. Yes, she jumped off a building. I heard. I don't know this. Mm-hmm. Factual information. This is true.
Yeah, that's what all the news. I mean, I don't believe everything I see on the news, but that's what is being reported at this time.
Okay, so Miss USA jumped off a building. She decided to end her life. That was a choice, and we are not saying one way or the other about the choice. Judge nothing, love cannot judge. We don't know what she was experiencing. We don't know her inner world. So we can't judge a person for doing anything. We don't know. Only source knows, right? So that was the trigger. Okay, I experienced a trigger. You can say the trigger or not. I experienced a trigger. And the trigger made me look at my own life. And in my own life, could we say that there are people also who have suicidal thoughts in our own lives that we've become aware that I used to have suicidal thoughts. I mean, I don't know a person that hasn't had a suicidal thought at one point or another, like, I'm out of here. This is too much, right? I've had them. You get help for them if you want to. Yes, that's your choice too. You got to go get some help. People can't make you do anything. So, would that be accurate as well? That there are people in my life that I became aware of that also had suicidal thoughts. Is that part accurate? Is that a good way to put it? Okay.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay. So then that doesn't say it's this person or that person. We respect the privacy. We honor all people and their silent struggles. Family, people, all of us have silent struggles. And if you don't think that people have silent struggles because they look like they're at the pinnacle, do you want to share with us what you said about this, about Miss USA, not Miss America, Miss USA?
Well, I mean, from the outside looking in, she's gorgeous.
Wow.
Beautiful, long flowing hair that's naturally hers. Beautiful, looks amazing. It looked like she was having the life that I wanted to live. Miss USA 2019, a co-host for E! News, living a dream life. If looking at like her posts up into the days, up until January 29th, happy. It appeared to be happy. And she seemed like someone who had not only had the perfect life, but had it all the way together. She was very motivational. She had several degrees. She was a lawyer, like just had it going on. Like it appeared, but obviously there were just things, like you said, we don't know the inner workings of someone's world, and we don't know what they're experiencing, and we don't know what they're going through. But if you just look at it from the outside, it looks like a perfect world.
Wow. So it looked like this person that you looked up to because you two were in the world of beauty. You're a model, you're an actress, you've won pageants, you've won Miss Ohio. Was it Miss Ohio?
Yes.
Okay, so you're in this same world, and here is a person who looks like they're at the pinnacle of this world. Someone
If
we.
you're speaking, grab you're muted on Clubhouse.
Oh, thank you. I sure was speaking. Thank you for letting me know. So this is a person that you were looking up to because you're also in that world, having won beauty pageants, having Miss Ohio, and really you're winning a beauty pageants. Harmony really comes from a beauty within, a beautiful soul. Not everybody that wins beauty pageants can you really, experience the beauty of their soul, right? So she had the beauty pageant, she had the degrees, she's a lawyer, she's smart, she's beautiful, she's got this long, gorgeous, flowing hair, natural hair. She's co-host on a show. It would appear from the outside she is living a dream life, yet the inside could have been a nightmare. We can't speak for her, she's not here. True?
True.
Family, this is why. If you don't address what's going on with you, it's not going to go well for you. No more hiding, no more delaying, no more suppressing. Go get the help, the support system, whatever you require to deal with your stuff on the inside, not just this beautiful, gorgeous exterior. Yes, this is exactly what the Course was teaching us, the outer and the inner worlds, that we get to look at the perceptions of both. We're looking at our outer world and we're looking at our inner world. We scan our inner world and we see abject depression. Do something about it. Get help. I've had 3 therapists. They were all good. They were all helpful. Some longer than others. Some for sticky problems that I knew. Spiritual life coaching, I had spiritual life coaching and mental therapy going on at the same time. Because having a support system is self-love. Get the support. If you need to just sit down and talk it out with someone, do it. Do it. Address your inner world and know when you're not okay. There's no shame in that. There's no judgment in that, especially in the community I grew up in, this community. That was taboo. I wasn't going to talk to nobody about my problems. Well, how you doing? Like Dr. Phil said, how's that working for you? There are people that can walk you through it. Now, you heard my daughter. I'm going to tell you a story about this with regard to death. You heard my daughter, who is my middle child, and she's in her 30s. And I have 3 grandbabies, yet she gave birth. Well, I have 4 grandchildren. I say 3 grandchildren. Thank you, Spirit. I'm getting a correction. I have 4 grandchildren, 1 in spirit realms and 3 here in the physical realm. So our baby, last year he was born and he lived for 3 weeks and 3 days. And then he was up off the planet. He was like, peace out. Now, of course, it was devastating. It was devastating for everyone. I mean, the doctors were like, because when you see a baby go, it does something to you. It does something to you. So this soul who came in was I'm speaking in past tense, thank you, Spirit, for correcting my language as I'm going. This spirit, this soul, is an extremely old soul. And the soul came to visit me at my son's home in Miami. Because last year, when he was born, his name is Eros, Eiros, which is the divine unction of love. That's what his name is. Eros, and his middle name is Divine, Eros Divine. Well, Arrow's soul came to me because every day I was in the ICU. He was in the ICU. Just about every day we went in the ICU. So he was in the ICU for 3 weeks and 3 days. And you would have never known that any of this was happening in my life because I was on YouTube. I was doing everything I do. You cannot go back and look at any of my videos and know when my mama died, when I got divorced, when I was in court battles, when I was having custody issues, when my car got repoed, when I got evicted, when I had a foreclosure, when I evicted myself. Thank you, Spirit. Spirit will continue to correct us. All of that. When I had no money and was living in hotel rooms that I paid for by the night, when I was homeless and had to pull over in my car on the side of the road and do a video. Now I'm in the park today doing my video. You didn't know that. And you didn't know. You cannot look at any of my videos and know. Why? Because the divine did it. Because me, I was probably a ratchet mess. The divine did it. So don't think Reverend Val don't got nothing going on. She has a dream life. She's perfect all the time. Sometimes we are in the pit of hell. And the divine is not in the pit of hell. So he passed on. One day his soul came and visited me. Because, souls come and visit the people that can see him and talk to him and all that, so you can give the messages. This thing was so amazing. My daughter's putting this in a book. Now, the only reason I'm talking about it is because my daughter talked about it publicly. Otherwise, I didn't talk about it at all. It wasn't my story to tell. That was my daughter's experience, and it was gut-wrenching, and I was there the whole time. And I've never seen anything more gut-wrenching in my entire life than a baby that you push out of your own womb and that you see and that looks at you and that you look at it and you stroke it and it's tiny and it's perfect, and then it leaves the planet. It leaves its body. I never held a dead baby before. I never held a dying baby before. I've been with dying people. That's one thing, especially older people. My mom, she had chosen to go on her way. We made peace with that. She lived a full life. She did everything she wanted to do. 50 years as a judge, Jehovah's Witness. She did it. The baby, it was on another level. It was on another level. Gut wrenching. When I tell you, I didn't know what to do with my daughter just to hold her. A wailing mother that the fruit of her womb is gone. Gut wrenching. That'll make you say, I'm out. I'm not doing this. Because her big question that she did not have answered is, why would God let me carry a baby for 9 months and then not let him live? There is another way of looking at the world. There is another way of looking at this. I don't care how devastating it is. There's another way of looking at this. And you might not call on that in that moment, because in that moment, we were in devastation. No, we didn't have no tools. We had them. We were in devastation. We dived into a deep, dark pit. I grabbed her and we just plunged straight down into a deep, dark pit because I wasn't going to let her go. And I knew I had to hold her while she was in the pit. So I just went down with her. I just held her, and that was the biggest thing I've ever seen her do. I've never seen her do anything like that. I tell you, okay? So that was the experience. The soul came and visited me. It was early in the morning. I was brushing my teeth at my son's house, because my son lived not far from the hospital. The family was in Miami. And here came this big soul. When I tell you this soul was so ginormous, I'm feeling him now on the left side. When he appeared, he came on this side. This soul is so ginormous, he went like 50 feet up into the air. He was way bigger than the building. This is like a 4-story building. He was way bigger than the building. And I knew who it was immediately. I knew it was, you have the tiny baby laying in the ICU, and you have this giant soul. And he was just there. I can't say standing there, his presence. And I knew who it was. And the first thing I asked him is, why did you come into this frail body? That was the first question. I didn't say, hey, how you doing? Why are you dropping in? I didn't ask him none of that. I had one question on my mind. What is going on here? Because you're this ginormous soul. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest souls I've ever seen in my life. 50 feet tall, almost like when you have encounters with Sandalphon, this ginormous angel. I've had encounters with Sandalphon. He's so huge, the way he presents, he's so huge that you never really see past his feet. Like his feet are all you can see, literally Sandalphon, his sandals, is really all you see of this ginormous angel in the presentations of how he's presented to me. Based on my personal experience, you may have different experiences. Because angels appear to all different people in ways that go with your mental, that allow you to see it. They're working with us each individually where we are. That's how big this soul was. So the first question was, right away, it shifted my consciousness because I'm so focused on the baby, the baby, the baby, the baby, praying with the baby, healing energy with the baby, loving the baby. We're doing all that to the body. And I'm some praying somebody, well, not really prayer, more like the presence of spirit, right? Because they took me out of prayer because my prayer was so much talking and doing, and they were like, B, leave that alone. I was like, okay. It's too much doing because I was a prayer warrior, man. I could pray some stuff, pray open the gates of heaven. And they're like, okay, you want to come higher? I was like, yes. Be still and know. That's your prayer. Every thought is a prayer. Every feeling is a prayer. You always pray. You cannot pray. You need to change your practice. So they worked with me to shift my practice. So when I was there, I wasn't praying like, prayer warriors and I declare, and that works too. It's all energy. They're working with us individually what we need to be the next step. I don't proclaim this step for anyone else other than myself. So here I was, bringing the love energy, not just the arrows, to every baby that was in that ICU, to every nurse in the ICU, to every doctor in the NICU, to every health aide in the NICU, to every person who comes and works on the machinery that's keeping these babies alive in the NICU until they can get on it on their own, right? To the people that come in and were mopping the floors in the NICU, to the people who were coming in and filling the soap in the soap dispensers in the NICU, to all the parents that were in the NICU just torn up or in questions or didn't know what was going to happen, at the whole NICU. And you want to know something very interesting? Many years ago, I'll show you how this connects harmony to what you're speaking of, the energy of death and dying and people moving on and what happens when people die and all this. Many years ago, I had a vision of myself in the NICU holding a baby. Years ago. And you don't really, what does it mean? We don't know what it means. Don't try to figure everything out. Don't do a tarot reading or every damn thing. It has to unfold. Note to self. Write it in a journal. Let's allow it to unfold. Right? Like the Course told us in the beginning, don't say what things mean. Allow the divine to show you what it means. So that was the first question I asked this big soul. Why did you come into this frail body? Like, if you freaking look like this on spirit realms, why did you? I could not, my brain could not process this and this. These don't match, they don't go together, which is exactly what they were trying to show me. You so focused on this baby, did you ever ask, what does the soul of this child looks like? And what did it come here to do? No, we didn't ask that because as people who were loving light workers, whatever, we were more focused on healing and love energy and I did the whole time have this attachment that I actually, detachment that I actually didn't like. There was a part of me that was at peace with whatever the outcome was, whether he stayed or didn't stay. And the mother part of me and the grandmother part of me was like, no, this baby's gonna live. This baby's gonna live, healing. I see the baby with the mom. I see the baby with the dad. I see the baby with the brothers and sister. I see the baby with all of us going on family trips. You know, we're visioning, we're trying to visualize. It wasn't a vision, it was a visualization. It was what I wanted to see. It's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that. That wasn't a reality. That's what I wanted to see. And so, what this soul was showing me was, are you looking at the reality or the perception? Man, when these lessons get deep, you be like, oh, damn. Oh, damn. And I'm a freaking master of this. And here we were focused on the body. Of course, I thought about his soul, you know, send up love and blessings to his soul. I had no comprehension. I would not have fathomed that was his soul. Wouldn't have fathomed it because the baby was so tiny and helpless. Well, the soul said, when I asked it that question, why did you come into, because I'm telling you, I was shocked. Why did you come into this frail body? And I kind of wanted him to give an accounting, not him, souls are not him or her or I kind of wanted the soul to give an accounting, like, why are you taking us through all of this? And I asked the question, and it had a twinge of judgment on it, if I'm being completely honest with you, and that's what I must do. I didn't want it to be the way it was. I wanted it to be different for someone else, for my daughter, for my daughter's husband, my beautiful son by marriage, for the brothers and for the sister Impri. I wanted Impri to hold the baby because Impri was so into the baby's coming home. Everybody was, the baby's coming home, the bassinet. I couldn't bear the thought of an empty bassinet. You see, the human side of me wasn't looking at the soul. And he said, when I asked him that question, why did you come into this frail body? Which you can tell has a twinge of judgment on it because why usually denotes some kind of judgment. Why did you do that? Or why? And he shut my mouth. Guess what he said? I have many lessons to teach. I was like, I backed off. I said, okay, let me go to school, get my little notebook and my little backpack. I'm going right back to kindergarten right now because this soul about to tell us some things and show us some things that ain't none of us seen before. I'm completely in school. Let me get my little fat pencil with my fat crayons, with my round scissors that don't cut jack. Because right now, I'm back in kindergarten right now because I don't know nothing. That's right where I went. That's what he said. It said, this soul said, I have many lessons to teach. And it was just that calm, just like that. Now we were like, oh, you know, the full range of emotions, joy and elation of the baby being born, a prayer, a hopefulness of this baby's life, and sadness that this baby got cords and things going. This baby had more procedures in 3 weeks and 3 days than I've had in my entire life. I've never had any procedures. This baby had operations. I ain't never had no operation. This baby did more in 3 weeks. I think experientially, he probably lived 3 lifetimes in 3 weeks and 3 days. And when he said, I have many lessons to teach, I shut my mouth. The judgment went out. The attachment went out. And I was like, Game on. Game on. Let's see what this is. I do not know what anything is for. I'm looking at a baby in a bassinet in the NICU. I do not know what anything is for. I know what my eyes are seeing, but there is another way of looking at it. You see, I see a woman who looks like she has everything jump off a building. I do not know what anything is for. I'm not going to say what I'm looking at because I don't know what I'm looking at. You see, I'm willing to empty myself and give up all my thoughts and all my perceptions and all my beliefs and all my judgments and all my attachments and all my preferences that get me nowhere for the true vision of spirit that will never bring pain. The true vision of spirit doesn't bring pain. I know this like I know my name. The true vision of spirit, God said it. That God, the blessing of the Lord maketh rich, and he add no pain with it. Some versions say, the blessing of the Lord maketh rich, and he had no sorrow with it. God is not going around dishing up, serving up sorrow. No, 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 no. Energy flows in, energy flows out, and a big death story is playing out in our minds. And that's what brings the sorrow. Energy is never sorry or sorrowful or bringing sorrow. Energy is moving. Energy is moving at all times, in and out, creating more forms, dropping forms, becoming another form, morphing, indestructible. Comes into a body, it morphs into a butterfly, morphs into a deer horn, morphs into a star, morphs into a blade of grass. Energy. So, harmony. This is a profound lesson for us all. What do we do in the face of souls who have chosen their expiration date? A soul's expiration date is between that person who's a bird. Oh, I hope you're okay, birdie. There was a bird flying into that little glass. Oh, birdie, I hope you're okay. That is a choice. A soul's expiration date is between that soul and source. There's nothing we can say or do about that. You cannot add one cubit to anyone's life. Is that so? So then what are you going to do? Sit there and be sad and sorrowful for years? Are you going to choose to have the divine vision? Are you going to honor your feelings? If it's sadness, honor it. Have it. Feelings are like waves. You don't got to surf every one of them. Feelings are like waves. You ain't got to get up on your surfboard and surf every wave. You can pick and choose. Okay, I'm feeling sadness now, but I'm not going to go, I'll just ride it and ride it and ride it forever. Just pour out sadness on everybody. You can tell the people that are sad, yes, I belong to the Sadness Anonymous Club. Oh, you just want to ride out sadness for years. Okay. Well, if that's what you're choosing, I wouldn't argue with you. There is another way of looking at this. Harmony. What are you hearing in this?
Exactly what the course was teaching us today, just looking at things differently and looking at the word depth. I don't even like to use that word. I've changed it to ascension. Just looking at depth differently. And knowing that I have to choose how I deal with not only death, but allowing people to have their own choices when it comes with death. Death is not final, and it's a beautiful thing if we allow it to be.
Rashida, I honor you. On one of our love tubers, I lost one of my sons at 5 months old, 23 years ago. I still struggle at times. This is giving me a different perspective. So appreciative of Source as all, in all, that we can see things differently. We can look at things differently. Who's next? Hi, Lovin', like princess.
I'm doing great. It's been a wonderful new moon, like lunar new year that just happened. I feel that I'm getting a little more, I'm shedding more emotional things like baggage. When I look at there's another way I look at the world, I feel that for me, there's I'm trying to find my words. I'm trying to I'm so sorry because I had notes, but I don't know why I feel different. It's just I went to a new moon of prayer. Like there was like I feel that like we were chanting I am a goddess over and over. I feel that I'm going to be able to move forward. It's just I'm still feeling a little resistance with.
Pause for a moment, Lake Princess. Do you remember a few months back when we were in the Wealthy Goddess room and I asked you, I said, Lake Princess, when you come to stage, let us know your intention in speaking. So I'm going to ask you that question again now. What is your intention here now?
That I feel that I'm able to let go of more things and that I'm able to embark on my journey.
So really your intention is to really share a win that you are able, yes, to share that win.
Yes.
We love that. Congratulations. We love the moon cycles.
I do. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm gaining more support around me as I keep journeying on. I'm complete.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Praise report. That's a win. Praise report. Praise report. Praise report. Who's next? Good morning. Is that Dia? Good morning, love.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I had two things I wanted to say after the story. Before the story, I wanted to say about my thoughts about the lesson for today. In reference to the things that we had spoken about yesterday, I kept meditating on those ideas all throughout the day, and it kept me up half the night. And when I woke up this morning, I took some actions. But what happened was I realized that I kept looking at those group events through the lens of my past experiences, and I have gone to events before, and I just kept holding that over, superimposing it over these events, and I knew that. But today, after I got out of the shower, my inner self asked me, how come it couldn't be like this positive experience that I had when I went to Canada, for example? And my first reaction was to say, well, that was a different type of experience. So no, it couldn't be like that. But then as soon as I sat down for today's lesson and heard it, like for whatever reason, I usually try to read the lesson early, but I kept not doing it. And I saw why once I sat down and saw that there's another way of looking at the world. I felt like it just confirmed that my thoughts were going along in the right track. So I felt good about the actions that I had taken from yesterday up until today. And then the other thing I wanted to say, as far as the story that you were talking about, Miss USA, there was a time in my life where as soon as I heard the word suicide, I would automatically look at that person from a dark, judgmental place. But after the lessons that we've had so far, and especially with today's lesson, I saw that situation in such a different way that it surprised me. You know, at first, I felt like, oh, wow, why would she do that? And I looked it up because I don't watch the news. I don't listen to the radio or anything. So I looked it up while you all were talking. And when I saw her, I thought a whole bunch of things. I was like, oh, well, it's because she's a Black woman and the pressure was too much for her and she just couldn't see any other way out. But then I thought about the lesson that we had about the attack thoughts. And I said, well, maybe her attack thoughts got the better of her and she
Pause for a moment, Dia. Pause for a moment. We are hypothesizing because we don't know, because she's not here to tell us. So the only thing that we can gain the most, so it wouldn't be productive to try to hypothesize. The best thing we can do is, what is the lesson I'm getting from this in this moment? All things are lessons God would have me learn. What am I seeing that I can correct that's being corrected in my life, that's being aligned in my life based on this outer stimuli? What would that be?
Well, what I ended up in conclusion in my thoughts was feeling like, well, she just took a quantum leap, and even though it was devastating.
Pause, beloved. Pause, beloved. All of us pay very close attention to our speaking. Pay very close attention, because it's a 365-day mind training in which we hold each other accountable. There's no she and there's no other. That she was doing this and she was doing that, that's utter focus. So if we were to take it within and say, this is what I experienced. What I experienced is my fear of death. This is what I experienced. I experienced is, oh my God, the fear that came up for me was, what? Do you mean that I could get to the top of my ladder? I could be all the way to the top of my dreams and be still ratchet on the inside. I still won't be happy. That's what I was experiencing. So tell us, speak to us from within yourself, for yourself.
Okay, well, to put it in those terms, I experienced it as a quantum leap, because what came to my mind were movies that we've seen in the past where there will be a portal open and the person will have to run and jump into the portal, and we see them disappear, but then on the down on the ground, we just see empty.
Pause for a moment. I'm gonna press you a little more. Would that be okay? Because you're a master. Would that be okay?
Okay.
When I see a portal, I jump through it. There is no they. Nix all the they out of our speaking. When I see a portal, as you're speaking of your experience, I see a portal, in a movie, and I see myself jumping through it. Because that's really what's happening, isn't it, when we're watching these movies? And the only reason I'm pressing you on this, Dia, not because we don't ever use they, sometimes we're telling a story, we might say it. We're getting accustomed to and acclimating to owning our own experience, all of it, and never projecting it on other people. Whatever I think about Miss USA, it's a projection of my own mind on Miss USA. I don't know the woman, never met her before in my life, don't know what she's doing, don't know what her soul is doing. So anything, I didn't even know what had happened until Harmony told me. So anything I would say about that over there would be a projection of my mind. Do you see what I'm talking about? I'm looking at her and I'm thinking this and that and the other. No, boo, look at yourself. Yes, dear, because you're too powerful for that. You're a super powerful being on the planet,
I totally understand that, and I feel like that's part of what I'm working on, is learning how to see things from my own perspective instead of through other things and all. So I really appreciate these lessons because I feel like it opens my eyes to be able to see myself more clearly.
Now, that is spoken like a master. Did everyone just hear what Dia said? That's what a master sounds like. When a master is corrected, they appreciate it. Correct me. Don't let people in your life walk around with boogers hanging out their nose. Tell them, oh, here's a tissue, clean your nose. Help them. Speak if you're inspired and in the appropriate setting to do so. Support people. And when we're correct, I'm always being corrected. I get corrected by 3-year-olds. I'll be like, thank you. 3-year-olds are really good at correcting people because they're straight up truth. They don't know how to lie. They're just straight up truth. And they're fun and they can really talk in great sentences and they ask amazing questions. Like 3 is my favorite. Be easily correctable. If you get corrected and you go into your feelings, you're not ready yet. You're not ready for your dream life. You're not ready yet. If you take your ball and go home, like we say, in spirituality, or like Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith said, you leave in hypostasity. I ain't out. And you slam the door on the way out. Okay, first of all, we know you'll be back in some spiritual circle somewhere. And secondly, we know that you definitely didn't do the work because you left in hypostasity. And you got mad when you got corrected when we ought to welcome. I applaud you, Dia. I applaud you on how you handled that. I applaud you.
Admittedly, the first time it happened, that's exactly how I felt. I wanted to take my ball and go home. But ironically, I talked to my mother about people. And we had such a good conversation out of that experience. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep playing with y'all. Because I like playing with y'all, And I like the fact that I did not expect to get these lessons. I just came to study A Course in Miracles because I had always wanted to read that book, but I knew that I never would read it by myself. And so when that happened the first time, it just blindsided me, and I didn't expect it. But my mother has a way of saying things to me the same way that you do. It's like, well, what you gotta do? You gonna get your ball and go home, or you gonna keep playing? And that made me angry at myself. And I said, I'm not gonna let nobody pump me when I didn't come here to get pumped. And so I said, you know what? If nothing else, I'm gonna get what I came for. And that's what made me come back. So that now, when it happens, I'm just like, okay, well, that's another way that I need to change my perspective. Another way that I need to change the way that I've been doing stuff. Because I'm telling you, stuff has happened to me throughout my life where things like this would happen, and nobody would take the time to explain to me where I went wrong. And so I always felt like, well, how am I going to do better if don't nobody tell me, number one, what I did wrong, and number two, how I can improve myself. So that's why I'm here today, because that's what you did for me. And I appreciate you so much. Thank you. I'm complete.
You got me crying too because love does that. Love won't let you kill yourself. Love will say, boo, 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 no, that's not how to do it. That's not the path. If you go down that path, you gonna have a problem. Love corrects us, but we think it's something else.
My first retreat with Reverend Love, I took my ball and I got on the plane and I went home. I was never speaking to her. And that was the most beautiful experience of my life. And at that moment, it didn't feel like it. Because I was used to no one correcting me. I was used to everyone applauding me for everything. And everything I did was just great and beautiful and wonderful. A+. I was an A+ student. I lived an A+ life. I had never been corrected, not by my parents, ain't nobody in my life had ever corrected me. So when I tell you I took my ball and I went home, I got my ass on the plane, didn't say goodbye, I went home. And through that progression, that was December 2016. Through that, I never, in that moment, you couldn't have told me that I would be helping lead retreats. You could have never told me that I would be speaking on her platforms, because when I left, I went home. So, of course, correction never feels good, but it's exactly what the soul needs. And it's always right on time. And I'm complete.
I love this conversation. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Queen Vashti. Honor and blessings to you.
And I always say your name wrong. I'm so sorry. Dahlia, is that right? No, ma'am, it's Dia. Dia. Okay, I don't know why I want to add stuff, but yeah. If you click on my profile picture, I got it in parentheses. Okay. All right. Thank you. Dia, I applaud you. I'm so happy for you that you're in a space where you are receiving. And no, correction never feels good. And I think we've always, when I got corrected, I got pimp slapped. I'm gonna say pimp slap. When I got pimp slapped, I was like, oh, I'm not doing this. I ain't doing this. No. But I had to realize, why are you here? Why did your soul choose to show up here? And I showed up. I showed up here to get my life, to express what my soul was desiring. And you know, you didn't get pimp slapped, Dia. You just got, you just got corrected.
According to some of the corrections, she got a tap on the wrist, right? She got a tap on the wrist.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she got a tap on the wrist. I got pimp slapped, and yeah, but she has a way of loving you, right after the pimp slap. So you like, hold up, what just happened to me? Like, where am I? Who am I? Where am I? And I kind of made up my mind that I wasn't gonna do it anymore. But when you truly are here for transformation and you truly want to express your soul's desires, you're in the right place, and you needed correcting. And I had to admit that to myself. And when you're honest to yourself and you're being really transparent, you're like, okay, yeah, I needed that, I needed that. And some things we don't know, but like you said earlier, if no one ever tells you what you did wrong and tells you how to correct it, how can you grow? And I look at corrections as a growing, as a teachable moment, and it's growing. It's me growing and me becoming a better, if that's even possible, or just growing into who I truly am. And that's what leaders are here for. And there's going to come a time that you, as well as myself and others here on the call, we're going to be in positions of leadership where we're going to be leading our tribes. And, you don't want to be clapping back on, on your leadership, who God sent for you to grow with. So that was, I wanted to speak on that. And then I came in when we were talking about death. And I do really feel blessed in the fact that my father transitioned before my mother, and they were no longer together. They were divorced. But when my mother transitioned and all the children were standing around her bed, I feel blessed in the fact that my father was there. His soul was there, and he spoke to me telepathically and told me that he had her and she was okay. And because of that, I look at death so much differently than most people. And I feel blessed that I had that opportunity and that I'm able to tell this story, that death is not final and there's something else when you cross over. And, you hear the stories about people, their loved ones being there to meet them when they transcend. try to, talk to people about it when they do go through things, death experiences or loved ones passing on, just to help them. But at first, when I first had that experience, I was kind of, I was a little bit arrogant about it in the sense that, death is not final, but it's so you have to be loving and caring and compassionate because everyone is not where you may be. So that was a lesson in that. I had to learn compassion for others. And I'm still working on these things, as long as we're here, we're learning lessons and we're working. But I do love this conversation. And I always love when Coach talks about the baby and how she communicated with the soul. That's just an awesome thing to experience. And I'm complete.
Guess what? Did I tell y'all the part of the story, Queen Vashti, where my daughter went to the funeral home? Did I tell y'all that?
Yes.
My daughter went to the funeral home because, of course, they asked her, what would you like to do with the remains? Our languaging tells us that we know what's really going on. These are the remains. This is what's left behind when the soul lifts up. And so she said, yes, she would have a private moment and that they would take the body and that they would. And so she said that's what she wanted to do. And so they respected what she wanted to do. And she had it done. She didn't tell us. She said, Ma, I knew this was something I had to do. She said she walked in the funeral home. And they're very respectful. They're very, they just treat you so well. She said she stepped up to the body in the funeral home after they had done everything. And she said, Ma, almost gasped. I was like, she drew back. She said, that's not my child. She said, in the instant she looked at it, she was like, that's not him. Instantaneously, she knew that was not him. She was like, oh, okay, I'm good. She came out. There was a giant bird sitting on her car, on the roof, on the driver's side, a hawk. She came out and the thing was looking, I don't want to say dead at her. The thing was looking in her eyes like, do you see past the physical? I'm telling you, this hawk, I was like, as she was telling me the story, I'm just covered with the God bump. She called me as soon as she came out of the place. She was sending me pictures of this thing. I said, what is that thing sitting on your car? A huge bird in Florida, Miami, a hawk looking her right in her eye. I mean, she said, Mom, it was so intense, I almost didn't go to my car. How many times do you see a hawk land on your car and here you come out the building and it's looking at you, and the entire time you're walking to the car, it's looking at you with an intensity? She said there was one word that came to her mind, teacher. She said he was so authoritative. This hawk was like transmitting information. I know this sounds crazy, but not to the crew I'm talking to, because all of y'all do all this all the time. Y'all are always talking birds and animals and critters and getting ant medicine. We talk to the whole universe. So I know I'm talking to the right clan. This tribe know what I'm talking about. The hawk was looking her, and she took pictures of this hawk, and we're all sitting there like, what did it say? She said it didn't say any words. It just conveyed authoritative and teacher. The first thing she thought was teacher. This soul is some great teacher that came to visit us, still teaching us lessons, and he's still working it. I keep saying a he because it came into the last incarnation as a he. This soul is still here teaching us right now as we share this story, healing all of us who have had experiences of suicide in our families, experiences of attempted suicides, experiences of loved ones passing, experiences of dropping babies out of our womb. I dropped a baby out of my womb when I was 5 months pregnant to the toilet, experiencing birth of babies that pass on, experiencing children that pass on, experiencing children that may pass on. Nothing is promised. Not me, not you, not our children. Every moment is the gift, as Miriam said in the comments. Every moment is the gift. So mind blown, but it gets better. You know, they give you a lot of support when you have an experience like this with a child, and you want to take all that support, receive the support. So she was in a group, and it was counseling, and it was counseling especially for, this is a grief counselor, especially for moving people through grief. Now, we want to honor the grief, experience the grief, move through the grief in a healthy way, not just stay stuck in grief for 20 years. Honor the grief as a gift. Experience the grief. Let your heart break open in 1,000 pieces, as Rumi said. Because when our heart, he says, you have to keep breaking your own heart, because that's the only way the perfume and the nectar comes out. Your heart may be shattered in 1,000,000 pieces. Let it. Because only when you see that your heart shattered in 1,000,000 pieces, metaphorically, and you're still here, you experience your own indestructibility. So she goes into a healing circle with a grief counselor. And the grief counselor was so kind and compassionate. And this grief counselor, you have to be gifted for this kind of work. I'm telling you, if you are gifted in this arena, please step up, because there are a lot of people to help. This grief counselor is specific to babies and toddlers, because that's a different kind of experience. This lady is in there with people who have lost babies and toddlers. I'm telling you, I got to honor a soul like that. And my daughter said, and they have their, their discussions and their Zooms, and they work through it. And she said in one of the Zooms, she sat on the Zoom, and when you think you're all alone in your pit of your despair, you never are. She said because she heard about the father. He was there just devastated because his child was 3 and he did everything perfect. Him and his wife were separated. He had primary custody of the child, did everything perfect bottle temperatures, perfect potty training, perfect, everything perfect. And one day the child was with the mother and the child passed. We don't know what the child passed of. It was instant. Another mother, she had the baby. Baby was perfect, because you got to get it out, and you're talking about it, and you're processing it, and you're moving through it, not to stay stuck in it and talk about it forever and make it the story of your life. To work through it, to be with it, to honor it, to get the lessons from it, to honor your own self and your own experience. And this mother was pregnant, went to the hospital, gave birth to a baby. Baby was perfect. Everything was perfect. Her and the baby's daddy, all there together. Nurses, everything's perfect. They birthed the baby. They cleansed the baby. Perfect. Put the baby on her chest. Perfect. 5 minutes later, the baby stopped breathing. No explanations, and the baby died. No explanations. Like, what do you do with that? And if you're trying to do something with that by yourself, please don't. What do you do with that? We got to honor the human self that just gave birth to a baby and adores this baby. This could be the most greatest love you ever felt in your entire life when you see this baby. And then 5 minutes later, it stops breathing. No pre-indication, no warning. You think this is going to be the best day of your life. You still have all the baby things at home. And this baby said, peace out. What you going to do? Be mad for 20, 50 years? Or work through it? Lovingly honor yourself, honor your feelings, work through it. Okay, what you going to do? You going to turn back time and bring the baby back? That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, family. There is another way of looking at this. The Buddha was traveling with Ananda and his disciples. And he got to a town. And he was in this town, and as soon as he got to the town, his mother, this distraught mother, ran up to him and was like, oh, Buddha. She fell at his feet, and she was kissing his feet, and she was crying, and she was pouring out all this energy, and she was so distraught. And she said, my child died. Please bring my child back to life. And he raised her with his hands, and he held his hands and held her hands in his hands, and he said, I'll do that, but first, only on one condition. She said, anything, anything. This is a grieving mother. Anything, anything to have my child back. Go and find a home where death has not touched in this village town we just landed. If you can find a home that death has not touched, I'll bring your son back to life. Yes! She runs. She didn't get the lesson yet. The lessons of acceptance, the lessons of you can't change this. What you gonna do with it? This is what late. You ain't bringing nobody back. Their soul said, I'm out. She ran to the first door. They opened it, yes. Has death touched this house? Oh yeah, our grandmother passed just last year. Go to the next house. Has death passed this house? Yes, my beloved mother. We just had the service. Has death touched this house? Our child, 5 years ago. Has death touched this house? By about the 25th house, because you know how desperate and pleading a mother can be. Oh, a mother will leave no stone unturned if she thinks this is going to bring her child back. About the 25th, 30th house, she started to get it. I'm asking for something that is out of what is, because I am not accepting the divine choice of this soul with this soul and its creator. I am prolonging my lesson and my pain because I am fighting what is, which will always land me in suffering. And I'm not here to suffer. Okay. There is another way of looking at this. And I might have to tell myself that 50,000 times before it sinks in. And before my body and my feelings and my emotions start to vibe on happiness again. It might take me a minute. Happiness and peace are essentials. I'm not living without them. So while I honor that right now I'm in the pit, I know that when I look up, I see the light of day. Who's next?
Sweetness?
God morning, welcome.
Y'all bear with me because I have a lot to share on this lesson, and it's just the tip of the iceberg. When you spoke about the bird being on your daughter's car, I've been seeing these blue jays in my backyard for like weeks, months, actually, at least 2 months. Every time I go outside in the backyard or I look out the window, I see these 3 blue jays. And at first it caught my eye. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. These beautiful blue jays. Like, that's rare. I don't see blue jays. And then a few more weeks or days went by, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm still seeing these blue jays? Like, what is it? Why am I seeing these blue jays? And I looked up, what symbolism, what are blue jays? Why am I seeing these blue jays? I looked up blue jays. And it spoke about, I read about acknowledging your spiritual path, or communicating, making sure you are communicating and actually speaking, being vocal. And there was something I was supposed to do, so specifically something I was supposed to say for the longest, and I wouldn't say it. and it wasn't so much that I wouldn't say it, it's who I wouldn't say it to. And I knew it, but I wouldn't accept it. And so yesterday, I was like, you know what? You told this person what you decided to do. You told that person you decided to do, but there's one person that you won't tell it to. The one person that you won't tell it to, who you need to tell it to, because it's eating you up. So yesterday I said, okay, this is ridiculous. Sweetness, speak. So I did. And it was beautiful. The conversation we had was beautiful. There was no anger. There was no resentment, no animosity, nothing that I made up in my head. The world that I was seeing, none of that stuff I made up. None of that stuff I made up when I said what I was supposed to say to who I was supposed to say it to. It was beautiful. And do you know I haven't seen those Blue Jays since?
Wow! Woo-hoo! What?
They're gone. I've been staring. Well, now I see a cardinal. Okay, I see a redbird. That's the first time I've seen that. But the 3 Blue Jays are gone. I haven't seen them. They moved on to whoever they're supposed to speak to next. And you know, after I did what I was supposed to do yesterday, I felt so good.
Yes.
I wasn't sad. I wasn't all these things I told myself I was going to be feeling. I felt so good that I realized I had fallen into this little depression-like funk lately, where I haven't been able to get up and do my regular daily tasks, basic hygiene, cleaning the house. But honey, yesterday, after that conversation, I got up, I did some laundry, I cooked a good big meal, I did the dishes with the baby. My 2-year-old, she, follows me around, doing everything with me. She stood at the sink in the chair, rinsing the dishes with me. We played, read books, all these things that I realized I had stopped slowly doing. Because I wasn't doing the one thing I was supposed to do. I rewatched Nanny McPhee.
Ah! What? You went to one of my favorite witches there. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Nanny McPhee.
Yes. When you said that yesterday, I was like, I loved when I watched that movie. But yesterday when I watched it, it was like I watched it for the first time because I looked at it with new eyes. And it was 2 things that jumped out at me. She said, when you need me, but do not want me, I must stay. When you want me, but no longer need me, I must go.
Yes. Ooh, I got the goosebumps.
And I said, wow.
Ha ha.
Wow.
Ha ha.
Wow. Like, it hit me so hard. Like, duh. These are the lessons that you're learning. So now it's time for you to move on to the next one. Like, you got it now. You did what you were supposed to do. You overcame that fear that really wasn't even fear. It wasn't real. And then she said about the children lessons to teach these
Mm.
children.
Mm.
And however many lessons they decide to learn is on them.
Choo! Girl, wait a minute, girl, you are preaching.
All of this is coming to me yesterday. And listen, I'm telling you now, the house is clean now. I still got some laundry to do, but the house is clean, smelling good like food. And when I tell you, I slept so deep last night. When I woke up, I didn't know where I was.
Wow.
I slept good last night. You hear me?
Wow.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean,
Hmm.
one of the, and I realized that's been a theme in my life. Now, this one scenario is this one thing I'm looking at. It's just one. Okay, this is just the one where I got it. But I've noticed this lesson repeated out so many times before. I've been doing that same thing over and over and over and over and over again. But not anymore. Because I see things differently. I'm excited. I'm so excited. And I know excited is not even the right word. I don't know what other word. The expectations, the God bumps. I mean, it's just like, you know. And I want to see what happens next. Like, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to learning more and saying yes sooner, honey. Because let me tell you, thank you. That was the one other thing I was supposed to share. The Christian Wishes Convention. You were talking about me. Well, I'm going to be honest. I was talking shit. I was talking big shit. I'm going to be so honest.
Bring it, because I am over here cracking up. Come on, sis, you preaching.
So, you know, this to begin like I think January 4th, since January, but since my sister was doing this since January 1st, I think I came in for good, like for real, around the 3rd or the 4th. And ever since then, it's like, okay, I'm getting this. All right. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do? You know, your sister got her tickets. Go ahead and get your tickets. She's supposed to move on this. So I go to the website and I'm looking at the prices for Miami 222 or the stay for the whole week, you know, 2222. And I'm like, I don't have this money. Honey, I'm standing in my room talking shit. I went off. I don't have this money. You know, I know that I'm powerful and I do have the power to be manifesting and I'm not doing shit like I know that, but I don't have the money right now. I don't have the money. Like, why the prices not reasonable? Like, they get money. Like, I'm talking shit. I'm going off. And then I don't tell nobody this. I don't say this to anybody out loud until now. And then I hear the Christian Witches Convention is pay what you like.
Pay what you like.
But, so now what you got to say? Because you got $51 right now. You do.
Sis, it's about to be a party. Now I think that God gave the inspiration for that because of you, sweetness. That was that was your manifestation. And you helped a lot of other people with your manifestation. That was for you, boo. That was for you. Pay what you like. Now what you're gonna do? We taking money out the equation. I was like, really, God? I ain't never did that before. Pay what you like for a limited time only. Better jump in there and get that ticket. But now that she got her breakthrough, okay, now the tickets can go to the right price because that was your manifestation, sweet. Oh my God. Because I don't hear all the things that people are chirping. I don't hear the chirps. I hear the divine on what to do about the chirps. I was listening to Spirit. It said, pay what you like. I was like, pay what you like. Because Spirit was just over listening to sweetness. Look at these prices. Spirit was like, be right back. I got something for you. The angels was like, be right back. Came over and told me, pay what you like. Pay what you like? Yes. Okay, pay what you like. Because upper realms know what they're doing. And they went back to her and that, now what you gonna do? Well, okay, I do have $50, $51. That was for you, Sweetness. Now we can take the price up to the regular price. Thank you, Sweetness, for giving us permission.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Oh my God. And Sweetness, your sister Angel on the chat is going. I love the chat. So proud of you, little sis. So proud. I got to tell you something, Sweetness. Every word you were speaking, I could identify with this baby of mine who gave birth to the 4 babies we're talking about. When this baby of mine was a baby, I've told that story in my books. The Confessions of a Christian, which I go into detail about that depression, couldn't wash the dishes, couldn't take a shower. They were like, what's wrong with her? Not doing none of the things I normally do, just in the bed. I'm telling you, if I wasn't nursing the baby, I don't know how I would have made bottles. It wouldn't have happened.
I just saw the Blue Jays again. They just came back real quick.
They're celebrating.
They just flew in real quick and now they're flying off.
They heard us, and you know how to read the signs. Congratulations on reading the signs and knowing what they mean and carrying it out and getting your win. Family, if you come here every day, things are going to start happening. If you haven't noticed, things are going to start happening. That's all I'm going to say about that. Like Forrest Gump. Who's next?
Grand Rising, this lesson, well, I was going to start with yesterday's lesson and talking about, I forgot the title, like this whole conversation is just completely shifted from what I was going to share. I'll just share what I was feeling at the time from yesterday and just shifting my perspective and learning more about Galactic Signatures. And I'm a white, I wrote it down, white, where is it? White planetary wind.
Oh.
And basically like breaking that down and just really understanding who I am and knowing how things work for me, like things, when I don't be my authentic self and really, really embody that, shit just goes left, like way left. And I'm over here every single morning faithfully, like in the Course of Miracles, I'm gonna do this. So my husband, we're like, okay. And I'm like, and then Spirit's like, but you're not being authentic to yourself.
Ooh.
Okay. And I'm like, what am I not being authentic about? And if we were not getting married on this day, it would so be in Miami on that day of February 22nd, 2022. But even in that, realize like I'm not being true to myself and trying to basically present myself as I'm not a facade
judgments from other people, and just really embracing the truth. And as everyone was talking this morning, I started pulling up some scriptures, and that's a whole nother thing too. Like, I've been asking sources for so long. 2016. Now that's actually Taisha, that's when I started watching your videos.
Oh wow, that is so awesome. Thank you. That is amazing. 2016, that's amazing.
But yeah, like, and back then it's like I just, kept everything secret, and my mom would ask questions, and I think honestly she's a witch herself, and my grandmother, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, it's just like I've been asking Spirit lately and getting back in touch with it and being so lost. You had a video talking about like why your spells or your magic isn't working, and it's because you left the blueprint. And for me, I'm coming back. Oh, sorry, I'm coming back. I don't apologize. I'm sorry. I'm not apologizing. I'm coming back home to who I am and understanding my roots, and it's so liberating. And when I go back now and I read Bible, there's so much magic, and it's like, that's a scripture I wrote down. It's Acts 9, chapter 18, when when Saul became Paul, and the scales fell from his eyes, and it's just like, God, I just want to see truth. That was the lesson the other day. I just want to see truth. That's all I want. That's all I desire. That's all I desire, is to see truth. And then you mentioned today, the blessings of the Lord make us rich and add no sorrow. That was lesson 27. Vision has no cost to anyone. True vision, not this third dimension. And I was just sitting here journaling this morning, like, it's not linear. Everything we see, it's not linear. And gifts, your spiritual gifts are starting to happen. It was really strange. I wasn't going to talk about it, but when Harmony started speaking this morning, about her share, before I knew anything of what happened, I automatically knew it was like someone committed suicide. But I just knew it, and I've been suppressing that for a long time. Those gifts, I guess, of just kind of knowing certain things. And then when it was said, because I don't watch the news either, but before anything was talked about, I knew that. And then I don't know the meaning of this. I'm gonna meditate on it more. Not to say it's freaky, but it's like, okay, Spirit, what's the lesson in this? Guys, when you're talking about your grandson, 3 weeks and 3 days, and then the hawk, I knew that you spoke about the story of experience a couple of weeks ago, but you didn't share, or I didn't hear, you did share the hawk sitting on your daughter's car. So a couple of weeks ago, I was driving Lyft and Uber and that sort of stuff, and I kept seeing this hawk, and I see hawks a lot, but in this way, like overall throughout years, but this particular week, it was 3 days in a row sitting on exit 33 on 635 in Irving, Texas. Well, Capel going into Irving, Texas. Exit 33, this hawk was sitting on the sign, the exit number was exit 33, and I saw this hawk 3 days in the row because I take that same way going to pick up orders. So I have no clue what that means. I guess now I'm just in a space of like just continuing to ask Source to open my eyes and what's the lesson from that. But I really just wanted to share this community. There are no words for how powerful it is, and I can't wait till when we're in person. I'm so excited for that, but there's no words for the transformation that's happening. And I know it's not just in my life. I think that's why I'm just overwhelmed, because I can feel the energy and spirit moving in every one of our lives, even the people that are on YouTube and Facebook and the people here on Clubhouse. And I know there's other people that haven't spoken. I just feel spirit moving, and I feel the transformation in every one of us individually, but we're all collective. So the world we're extending, and I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. I'm thankful for the space, Reverend. Thankful for you listening to Source and following that. So that's all I wanted to share, and with that, I'm complete.
Ooh, Kristen, I think I went through all the feelings as you were speaking. I went through happiness, elation. Oh my goodness, she's coming into her gifts, the hog, mysticism. I was in tears. Wow. Wow. All of the transformation that all of you are having, that all of us are having, speaks to your level of commitment and to your intention. You cannot get this kind of breakthrough unless you ask for it. How many millions of people are walking around, billions of people on the planet, don't want it, don't want to see it, don't want to see themselves, just want to go to work, come home, eat some fried rice, and watch Netflix. Don't want to see it. You're the brave ones. You're the brave ones. You're the courageous ones who are doing the most courageous, authentic thing you could do with your entire life, and that's look at yourself, honestly. That's scathing. Look at yourself, honestly. Above all else, I want to see, even if it's burning my eyes, what I'm seeing. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Can we go to the correction principle again? Queen Vashti, is Queen Vashti still in the room? She'll hear this one on the recording. Emir is cracking me up because Amir says something so funny. I don't know why I was cracking up. Talking about correction, he said, as my Me Too moment in December 2014. Kaisi tongue cut me deeply to my core. I deleted from all devices, even her fingerprint. I can just hear Amir's voice. I known him for many years. He's an astounding being. I mean, just an extraordinary, astounding being. And then he said, oh, this is so good, Amir. I'm telling you, this is so good. Then January 2015 came around. I'm so glad that it only lasted a month from December 2014. Harmony, you like this story, don't you? Guess what he said, Harmony? Harmony, you're going to love this. Then January 2015 came around, 150 days of the Psalms to 2022, and I'm deeper in love with this Christian witch. Oh, man, I was slicing people left and right for 3-4 hours every morning when we was in the Psalms, wasn't we? Listen, get your life together. What is wrong with you? Your thoughts are doing that to you. Stop it. Oh, man, I was slicing people every morning. People are like, man, first thing in the morning, do you have to slice me at 4:44 a.m. family? Emir was there, Rosa was there, Harmony was there, all a whole rack of us. And it was a conference call. And we begin on the conference call at 4:44 a.m. You in California, don't matter. What, God ain't awake at 1:44 in the morning? Get your ass up. Because you know how crazy I am. And OMG, we would go in. And we would be done when we were done. Remember, Amir, Rosa, Harmony, Zaire was there. They can tell you.
We would start at 4:44, and some mornings we'd get off to 11, 12 o'clock. No lie. You are so right.
That's about 5, 6, 7 hours.
We be in there, and Val would be saying all kinds of stuff. You know, I'd be like, girl, you really hit a spot. You need this shit alone, because this girl is crazy. Well, I love you, but I have left you many a time because
oh man, people leave me all the time. They leave me all the time. They be mad. They be like, oh no, she ain't telling me. I'm unfriending her, unfollowed, deep friend. He said I even deleted your fingerprint. I was like, okay. Look, I'm erasing all the hugs I gave you. I'm erasing all the gifts I gave you. I thought we was friends. No, that's the problem. I'm not your friend. You thought I was your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm here to save you. So, hello?
You know, can I speak?
Oh, yes. Go right ahead. Even Mama Rosa, we're going to give you the floor, even though I think Angel was next. We're going to give you the floor because we know you're our elder. So, go right ahead.
Thank you. You know what? I like that thought of I choose to see things differently. Everything is, I can control my thoughts. An untrained mind does go awry. But I don't think we really realize experience with death. And I may have said this before, but I remember saying to God, you know what? This can't be real. There's got to be more. Little did I know that for the next 50, 60 years, I would be introduced to new thought. Always. Consciously and unconsciously. Changing my mindset. And I realized that we get these messages throughout our whole entire life to remind us of where we came from, but not understanding how to get there. And in the Course, it says just allow it. Be willing to allow new thought, to see things differently. And when I came in, you guys were talking about death. I don't know who was actually speaking, but I recall how death would shake me to my ultimate core. I would get depressed and losing people. But as I got older, I realized that I haven't lost anything. When I go back into my feeling state of how it felt around those people and what they left me with, I am elated to have been honored by their presence. Because they didn't have to come to me. They could have chose somebody else to be a parent of, a cousin of, a sister of, a brother of. They could have chose someone else, but they chose to teach me this lesson. And I am so grateful. So when I look at the demise or the transition of our loved ones, I always allow the gratitude to have been the chosen one for them to teach me what they came here to teach, and be able to just look upon that. What did they leave with me? What did they help me with? How did it feel to be in their presence? You know, the joy that I had, and even the confrontations, and just, I look at it as a gift. Death to me is like a gift, because I know that they have done their work, and I have received it, and I'm open to it, and I'm loving it. And every time I think about it, and I hear that song, or I hear that words that they said, to me, it makes my heart sing with joy. And then I look at, there's a movie, a book really, and turned into a movie, What Things May Come. I think that's the name of it. Robin Williams played it. And I used to look at this movie constantly. And I used to share it with people who have lost someone. Because my idea of lost is, I just have to get to where they are. I have to transcend to their space that they are. And hopefully, as Spirit has it, we usually transcend with other people that we've already had experiences with, all spirits that we have had experience. I have known you guys all my life. I've been traveling in this circle all my life. And it comes up in different forms and fashions. Maybe this time I might be the elder, but next time I might be the child that comes in, you know, or I might be the husband or the wife that's on, you know. Nothing has changed with us over the eons that our spirit has roamed from space to space. We've been traveling together, and that makes me feel good, because I know that I'm not leaving you. We're just transcending to another space and another time, and it's going to be even better and greater and more exciting, you know. So if anybody's struggling with that death thing, I would suggest that you look at this movie with Robin Williams. It is amazing. It is amazing. And it puts me to peace, because my idea of transition is to be in the space of all the spirits that have been with me all along. You know, it's like this beautiful area where my grandmother's there, both of them, my granddaddy, my father, my mom, and my sisters and brothers who have passed, my friends who have passed. We will all be together again. And that, to me, is how I deal with death. Because it's no loss. It's just a movement of spirit. That's it. And I'm always going to be traveling with you guys. And to me, that is the best gift ever. So y'all ain't finished with me yet. I will be here again. And it keeps me in total peace and transition and laughter and joy and happiness, because we're here to do the work. And when our work is done, then we go on to the next lesson, the next time. But we never leave each other. And I am complete. And thank you for allowing me the time to share and be with you. I am so grateful. And yeah, Reverend Val, you piss me off a lot.
That's my job.
Who the hell does she think she is? She my baby. I'm not hers.
Thank you for bringing your beautiful soul self back, Rosa. Thank you. Thank you. I got to tell you something, family. For people that haven't been around the community a long time and they see somebody leaving high pissosity, you know what I say? They'll be back. And they be looking at me like, oh my God, Rev, this is terrible. This is terrible. No, it's not terrible. It's how we unfold. It's how we learn. It's how we grow. I got to tell you something about master teachers, which I aspire to be and which I own. Master teachers would dissolve your ego in sometimes the most scathing fashions that you will be tempted to just run. I'll give you an example. Now, many of you know that my spiritual mama on this planet, because my spiritual mother and my biological mother lifted off the planet, and I have a spiritual mother on this planet, Reverend Dr. Yana Van Sant. And do you think that 4 years, it wasn't virtual, it wasn't on TV, with her in our face for 4 years? Or do you think we didn't get our asses kicked up and down religiously on the regular? And she'll eat a chicken wing. She said, you think I feel bad about y'all? Go get me a fried chicken wing and eat it. She will slice you. I know y'all, who's seen Iyanla Fix My Life? Who's seen it? Who's seen Iyanla Fix My Life?
Hey, look, and she said the last time when we were in the lesson, a couple of days ago, somebody said, I need you to fix my life. She said, girl,
You better fix your own
I don't
life.
do that anymore. I don't do that anymore. You gotta fix your own life.
You better fix your own life. You know, I don't know what we want from spiritual teachers, from master teachers who have given everything. Reverend Dr. Yana Van Sant gave everything to spirit, including her child that she birthed out of her womb, who went on. Her daughter, when she told us what her daughter did, Jamia sucked all the generational debris, density into her colon and took it out. And she told her mother that it looked like colon cancer. The doctors. She said, now you can do your work. Jamia helped her build what she was building. Jamia was right there. She was powering the thing. She was like the backbone of the thing. And then when she went out, you read Peace from Broken Pieces. The book was I had to put the book down. I was crying like it was my child. You read Peace from Broken Pieces. If you didn't read, look, I'm bringing it up right up on screen right now. Because if you did not read Peace from Broken Pieces, oh my God. Oh my. Do you see what the first word is? Peace from Broken Pieces. Do you see it? Peace from broken pieces. Not I'm broke down and I'm broken. You ain't broken. Peace from broken pieces. Not peace because you ain't got no broken pieces. Not peace because you never seen anybody that didn't have broken pieces. We all got broken pieces. It said peace, not peace because you got rid of your broken pieces. It's at peace from broken pieces. Do you understand that the beauty of the vase, like Rumi said, the crack is where the light enters you? We're cracked, but we see that as a problem. He said the crack is where the light enters you. The vase shatters on the floor. I got broken pieces in my life. Somebody just died. My child just died. This person just died. That happened. Miss USA just jumped off a building. I'm going to pick up these broken pieces because so many of us, we want to hide the broken pieces. Fix up all cute. I did it. Cute designer bags, long nails, all the makeup, facades. Not saying that that's a facade. I'm saying I was using it as a facade. It's all neutral. Do it if you like it. It's a facade. That's how I was using it. It was part of my carefully crafted personality front that I hope you can't see through because I've got it all shellacked and veneered. I look perfect on the outside and crunched up broken pieces on the inside. Peace from the broken pieces. I couldn't even get through chapter 1 without squirming in my seat. Like the introduction would have you like, oh, you feel it. When you read it, you will feel it. So.
But Reverend, you write like that too. You write like that too. Your writings touch my soul. And I am very fearful of Ayana. Because
I like the way you said that. That's an honest way of putting it.
She and I both are ghetto. I can see us fussing all the time. I fuss with you. So I know I'd be like, oh, she gonna whip me. And she has always been in my spirit since 1971 when she arrived in DC. And then I left to go to St. Thomas. And then I come back and look, all my friends, including you, Rev, are Ayana Van Zandt students.
Wow.
So even though I did not become a university person, I'm still thinking about that. But I've always been afraid of her. And I love her. She makes me laugh. She makes me cry. I have listened to her since 1971. And I have all her books, and I've read them, and I just love that lady, but I'm still afraid of her.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared, because I'm telling you, if it was not for that master teacher, I would not be doing what I was doing here right now. God put me on her doorstep.
I am glad that you are my master teacher. So I'm getting it through osmosis and studying through you. And I'll leave it like that. I think 10 years of my life, it might get better, but I don't know. We'll just see. We'll see what happens when I get to Africa. I'll probably tune in then. Then I have to fly from Africa to go to class. That's going to be interesting.
Well, we had someone flying in from Israel too to go to class. Look what Gina is saying. Gina is saying, love tubers. Gina said, I'm doing a 40-day abundance with her, and she cuts us up every night.
Yes, she does, girl. Now, it is so funny, and Lord knows when she tries to dance, and she dances, and I'll be like, girl, you are. And the thing is, she's a Virgo.
Yes.
And, and I am too. And Virgo.
Oh, wow. Y'all are both Virgo. You're a Virgo. Yeah, her birthday is September. She's a Virgo because she is specific. She will have that thing laid out to the nth degree.
And blunt. One thing about Virgos are very honest about telling you the truth. And sometimes when we tell the truth, we don't care how it comes out. We just tell the truth. And we drop it like it's hot. And you deal with that.
And if you and your feelings, that's your problem. Sound like a personal problem to me.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to tell you, and family, I have to say something to you about this. Don't think that Reverend Dr. Iyanla Van Zandt dishes it out, but don't do it herself. Don't think that for a minute. Because she calls herself to task first and foremost. So don't think she's just sitting somewhere telling you what to do. Oh, the level of spiritual commitment in her life and what she does is
amazing.
is beyond this dimension. The things I have seen her do, okay, I'm gonna be like that one day.
And she gave a healing meditation we did for one day on that 40-day abundance that touched my soul, that gave me the understanding and the realization that this too can pass. You know, with that deep thing that's going on, this too will pass. So I've been doing the 21 tapping that she gave for that every day, because I desire to release it. That's it. That's all. That's my commitment for this year. I will not be leaving. I will be leaving here in the United States to Africa with this disease eliminated. Period. That's it. That's all.
And how about you go whether it is or isn't eliminated? I know what I'm doing. You going, right? Whether it's eliminated or not, you're going.
Or not.
That's right. Either way.
My healing is probably, if it's not gone here, it's going to be gone when I get there.
Exactly. And to tell you the truth, Rosa, the healing could be the acceptance of living with it.
You know, that's right.
Could be.
You're right.
We don't know. Right? We don't know, beloved. The biggest souls get the hardest lessons. Mama says that all the time. The biggest souls. You're the soul that can live with it and dance with it. And look how many people got taken out by it.
We've been doing that now. You know, you've been with me, so you know it don't matter. I've gone with you when I was blind. Remember when we went when I was blind?
Yes, we were like, Rosa, you're blind while you're writing your book. We were in the book program. And as soon as you started writing your book, you're like, I can't see. I can't see. Are your eyes open, Rosa? Yes, my eyes are open. I just can't see nothing. What? What is happening right now?
That's called me. Joanne Meekins called me. She said, "Go, oh no, girl."
And you wrote the most amazing book, I Am Affirmations for the Living. You wrote the most amazing book, Blind.
I'm telling you, that book has saved my life, though, because it was the affirmations that kept me going. I would get up here and do the same things. I was the recording person at my church. I recorded and duplicated CDs, blind. God sent me a little girl who's now in Howard University studying to be a medical doctor to actually push the buttons to do. She did exactly what I told her to do. We would be up there recording and duplicating CDs, and I'm blind. And nobody believed me I was blind. And I was like...
And you knew that it was metaphysical because your eyes still looked, there was no change physically other than I can't see.
That's it. That's it.
Unbelievable.
One morning I woke up and all I could see were like clouds around me. I walked around in a clouded world. I was in a deep physical fog. All I could see was shadows when they came right up in my face. That's it. I couldn't see their face. I could just see their silhouette. And I used to pray every morning, Lord, you know I'm getting ready to go out here. You know I catch the bus. You know I have to walk.
Rosa, your voice went out. Are you there? We don't hear you. Unmute, Rosa. I'm not sure why we don't hear you. Are you able to unmute your line? Or you may have to come out of the room and come back into the room. Sometimes that fixes the audio issue. Until Rosa,
Had me cracking up laughing, saying, "Are your eyes open?" That reminded me of every time I call any customer service and they ask me, "Is it plugged in?" No, yes, it's plugged in. You don't think I checked that first? But it's amazing when Rosa was speaking about her experience, because my girlfriend has been in the hospital for 4 days now because of her eyesight and an infection in the eyes, and it's just been an amazing process going through this amongst everything else.
about seeing things differently. So everything is connected. Everything is a lesson that God will have us learn, and everything has meaning. Nothing is for naught.
That's delicious. I got to tell you all about another teacher that will dissolve your ego so fast. Because what is getting in our feelings? Getting our feelings, wearing our feelings on our sleeve. You're not going to punk me. All the things that I've said myself. Dia was saying some of the things that I've said myself. You know, even my sisters, I remember we were entering, I think, our 4th year at Intervisions or 3rd year. If you're in a spiritual experience and you don't feel like running, or you don't say to yourself, oh, I'm out, or oh, this is too hard, if no resistance comes up at all, you're not doing anything. You're not doing anything. If no resistance comes, you just float out of bed in the morning and you just float onto A Course in Miracles and you just do all the exercises and you just fly straight up to heaven and live there. No, you're either delusional or you're not doing the work. You're not getting in there. Because when you get in there deeper and deeper and deeper, you're going to find some things. So the other teacher that will unceremoniously drag your ass from one end of the table to the floor to the other is Mother Ayahuasca. She don't care about your feelings. I've heard people in ayahuasca journeys praying for their life, begging and pleading the mother. She'd be just dragging them. I don't do that when I go to the mother. I'd be like this, yes, mother, whatever you say. I'd be humble. Lay down, have your will with me. Oh, I know better. You ain't breaking me up in a million pieces. You get the correction the way you need to get the correction. Like Proud Mary said. Now we can do this nice and easy, or we can do this hard. How we rolling? Because I could roll either way. We gonna be nice and easy, or we could go there. Got no problem with either one. That's why you want a teacher that can go there. Because when your shenanigans come up, you want somebody that will say, cut it, cut your bullshit. Right now, you're making up a big story in your head and it's killing you. That's why I never was with no flowery teachers. The ones, okay, let's just get on our unicorns and it's a unicorn day and we're just gonna ride across the rainbow with our unicorn. Fuck that. No. Tell me what it is. Oh, Reverend Dr. Iyanla Vanzant, she would tell you what it is. What were the first words she said to me? First 3 words she said to me. Harmony got to memorize. What were the first 3 words she said to me?
You're a liar.
First 3 words Reverend Dr. Iyanla Vanzant said to me. First session, first group experience. This was my beginning of the years of being in Intervisions. She looked at me and she pointed, you're a liar. And what did I do? It was the truth. I was lying. I was lying about trying to be Christian. I'm a witch. I was lying about hiding my tarot deck from my Baptist husband. I was lying about the relationship I was in. I was lying about, I don't want to do that, but I'm doing it anyway. I was lying. I was a liar. I can say it with complete peace and happiness in myself. I was the biggest liar going. Oh, I was lying. And I was a very carefully put together liar. Oh, the nails were done, not a crack. She saw through the facade like that. She looked at me. You're a liar. And I mean, that's how he came out. I was like, like how this lady just met me and she just ripped me a new one from rooter to the tutor. And I was like, I'm never leaving this lady. Because she saw me. Beneath the veneer, other people, they didn't want to see what was going on under the veneer. She knew divinity was under the veneer. Get rid of the veneer. Divinity is under there. A great gifting is seeking to come forward. A powerful walk on this planet as a master teacher. When I graduated 2 years later, she told me you're a master. And a master is not one with many students. A master is one who creates many masters. I don't need no students nor any disciples. We're not looking for followers. Who wants to step up and be a master? Come on. Child, Mother Ayahuasca. Or you get your feelings hurt with somebody like me or Reverend Dr. Yola Van saying, that's okay. Go get some plant medicine in Peru and watch what she do with your ass. You will come running back to us like, come on, abuse me some more with the truth. You will come running back. After Mother Ayahuasca, you will come running back. Because Mother Ayahuasca will dissolve your ego in 8 hours straight. All that you built up in 20, 30, 40 years, she would just yank it, rip it all from you in like 2-3 hours. And she'll just stand over you and look, oh yeah, let me do some more to you because you still don't get it. Okay. And if you're not ready for that, you don't want it. And I'm not saying be abused. I'm not talking about delusional spiritual teachers that have these complexes and they try to tell everybody what to do. We're not talking about that. We're talking about if you can't handle the truth about yourself because you think somebody is telling you something that yourself already told you, but you didn't want to listen. Don't go with any spiritual teacher. Don't give up all your ascension hopes and dreams. Sit on the sofa and eat Netflix, like watch Netflix, like I always say. Don't do nothing with your life. Don't become great. Don't release your gifts unto the world. Stay mediocre and normal because you don't want to get your feelings hurt. There you have it. Who's next? Fire Fairy, are you wrapping us up today? Fire Fairy, come on, Fire Fairy. Oh, Alina. Come on, Alina. How you loving?
Hey, well, is it my turn now?
Yes, it's on you. So what you gonna do?
Alrighty. So peace and love to the room, everyone. There's another way of looking at the world, and this really affects me and how I see things. Like a lot of times when I see things and I say, well, this person should know this. No, I need to know this because I'm the one recognizing it. And so, okay, you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying no, I need to recognize this. I need to deal with this because I'm getting the revelation about it, so it's for me. So I need to read. And these lessons is really just pointing stuff out to me. Okay, Alina, you need to do this. Okay, you need to understand this. And so I don't say that I grieve, and a lot of people, find that difficult, but I think that I came across something different. Like I experienced loss. I experienced 2 losses in January that were near and dear to me. So I experienced loss and I deal with it. I cry, I process the emotions. When my mother died, I feel like I lost something because I feel like I wanted to tell her some things or I thought our relationship would be different before she passed. But I don't really go into like this deep grieving. I know a lot of people do, and I just never have looked at things like that.
Pause for a moment. May I offer you something since we're being truthful?
Yes.
Beautiful. You're in denial. That is the absolute face of denial. I don't go into grief like that. I bet you if you went all the way to the bottom of your well, you would find a heap of grief. And you just had losses in January?
Yeah.
Go in there, Alina. Go in there.
Let me finish. I agree with you.
Okay.
But I had 2 losses in January.
Boo, there's no but. Boo, I'm going to challenge you. There's no but.
Okay.
I agree with you, but cancels everything before the but. Own it. I have grief, even if I haven't found it yet.
I don't have it.
Okay.
Now, when my mother died, I processed it for 6 months before I even went back to work. So that was something yesterday, so the person died in January sometime, and then somebody else told me about something that happened, and then I just kept on working. And then yesterday, which was February 1st, I was like, I'm feeling that loss.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you're making me deal with it, the ones from January, I'm still feeling that loss.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dr. Billy Woodard on this site, he was at the house, the Science of Mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about it more every day. I'm thinking like, maybe I should have took more than a day. I took a day to grieve him. And then we opened up his room and we talked about some things about him. But I'm feeling that more. I'm feeling it in my body now. Like yesterday, I went to do something on the computer for my job, and I was thinking about him, and I was like, wow. So I guess I haven't processed it. So there's another way to look at the world, looking at the world. So how do I process this? Yeah, let's just stay right here. You're going to make me deal with my stuff today. So let's just deal with this. I'm a denier. Yes, I am. All right.
I love you, Alina. You gangster. You gangster.
I'm a denier. Because I sure do want to cry right now. Yeah, I've been crying for him every night. Last night I didn't sleep very well. I thought about him. And he was my friend. We used to text each other all the time, and I haven't heard from you, Goddess. He would call me and see how I was doing, and so I'm thinking about him. So wow, I experienced the loss. Reverend Val is something else, I tell you. Unmute yourself, Reverend Val. I see you talking on YouTube. What you say?
This is, I'm breathing because this is spirit. And spirit moves through my mouth. And I'm telling you, a lot of times later, people tell me, you said so and so and so to me. I have no recollection of it whatsoever.
Yeah.
None. Because it's completely in the moment. And spirit is speaking to all of us. And it's speaking to me too, because if I dish it out, that means I'm in denial in some areas of my life about grief and loss. And I'm going to look at it and I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to be in it. And I'm going to let it consume me. That's the answer. The way out is through. Write it down. The way out is through. The way out is through. You got to go in there and go through and come emerge, because something happens when we just go into it. When we go into it, and I'm not talking about, just go and build a tent and, in our sadness and grief. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about being real honest about what's in my psyche and addressing it, being real honest about what's going on with me and addressing it.
Yeah.
With love.
There's a person right now, and they're not passed on. I don't want to say their name because this is on replay, but they have not passed on, and they're close to me, but I still feel grief for that relationship while they're here. I can't hear you.
I'm listening. I'm nodding my head and listening, because grief takes many forms, not just when someone passes. It can be a relationship over. It could be a heartbreak. It could be a home that you don't live in a home anymore that you really loved, and we grieving over the home. It's our way of processing what we perceive as a loss. We can't just ignore it. We cannot just ignore it. And we can't say, I'm over it. No, I'm not. I'm not over it.
Yeah, I'm not over that. So those are two things that's really, I feel it when you said it. I felt it right there in my solar plexus. That's where I felt it at, right there. First, I didn't feel like I felt it, but I felt it right there. I feel it right there.
Reverend Bell, may I ask a question in this conversation?
Yes.
Okay, so I know the answer, but maybe somebody here doesn't, and you're the teacher. How do you know when you've moved through that? Because the way to God is to go through something, forgiveness, remembrance, and there's no other way to heal except for to go through. But how do you know when you're through?
That's a good question. It lifts. It's just gone. It just lifts. You don't fight it anymore. It lifts. And then you get what I wrote about this in the book, God is in love with you. You get divine amnesia. You don't even remember. It lost its charge. You know how Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about this. He says that these wounds we're carrying are just a memory with a charge on it. So if you have a memory that has a charge on it, some kind of emotional, it's charged. So loss is charged for most people because I lost something. We think we lost something. Loss is not a reality. Death has a charge on it. It's a memory. So first of all, it's the past. And it has a charge on it, still active in our system. It's like a live wire. If you were walking around a construction site and there was a live wire, you stepped on it, what would happen? You would get a shock.
You'd be electrocuted.
Right.
You'd be charged with their electricity.
Yes, because it still has a charge on it. And we can tell when things in our consciousness still have heat on it or a charge on it, because when we listen, when we're confronted with it, because the universe will continue to give us some kind of trigger that says, hey, you got a live wire. That's dangerous for you and the people around you. That's a live wire. It's seeking to help us.
You are required to complete these 4 sections.
Say that again.
Wow.
Say that again,
I'm just
Alana.
saying to myself, I'm required to complete these sections. That's what Spirit is telling me. Like, I'm required to complete, like, I need to go through these things.
That was your message. You heard it. You heard your message.
Yeah, I heard it very clear. Like, I'm required to complete these sessions just like that.
And the way you said it, it was like, what just happened? Say that again, please, for all of us.
That's what I heard. Like, you need to complete this session. So I just blurted it out. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. Say it again.
I am required to complete these sessions. But it's like four sessions. I'm required to complete them. There you have it. I would be journaling that out and talking to Spirit on what are these 4 sessions? You said it so crisp and clear, like it came straight through. You are required to complete these sessions. Is that what it said? Yeah. You are required to complete these 4 sessions or these sessions. What did it say exactly? 4 sessions. You are required to complete these 4 sessions. Damn, that's a word. Write that down. I'm writing it down right now. Thank you, Alana. No, I don't ignore the divine voice at all. I do not. So that's a beautiful question, Rosa. You'll know. It'll be gone. And the charge will be gone. You know, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about that charge. You won't have that. You hear something and you get, or you hear something and you go into depression, or you hear something, you go into sadness, or you hear something, you go into anger. That's because we just still have a charge on it. Nothing wrong with having a charge on something. It's your job to recognize, oh, I'm charged around that. And to defuse, it's a bomb, it's a landmine. You made it up. I have invented the world I see. I'm not the victim of the world I see. Why? Because I've invented the world I see. Now it's my job to defuse that bomb. I got to put on my bomb suit and defuse the bomb. That's my bomb. I'm responsible for that, but it's blowing up on people and myself. How is that helpful to the universe of life? How's that helpful to my happiness, to my relationships, to my health, to my money, to my destiny? How's it helpful for anyone for me to walk around with all these charged wires and bombs that could go off at any minute because I don't want to deal with my shit?
Woo! Woo!
I just
another thing, if I no longer feel,
Oh, sorry. If I no longer feel anything when that incident comes back to me, then I've healed it and I'm ready to move on. If I have no reaction, because the world outside is something that we made up, all our feelings are, so I choose to feel something different in this experience. So if the experience arises again and I have no charge or no dislike or like or anything, then I know that I have healed that and it's time to move on.
It goes beyond that. It won't even show up. Because you're no longer a vibrational match for it. If it's still showing up, that means I'm still a vibrational match for it. It can't show up. It has to go somewhere else. Because energy has to match. Vibration. What is a frequency? And we're going to really break this down at the 222 event. Frequency is vibration that is carrying information. So these vibrations that are coming off of us, these are frequencies, and the frequencies are carrying information. Packets of information is what this universe is made of. Information. Lack, limitation, or health, happiness, dis-ease, disharmony, want to fight. You know that fight. You're going to pick a fight. That's the frequency. It's invisible, not undetected. Because all the energetic bodies are detecting it all the time. It's invisible. And because the Course described the phenomenon to us in the very early lessons, it says you take all that stuff that you don't want to see about yourself and you put it out there on Miss USA who jumped off the building. And wow, she's got such a problem. Oh, I feel so sorry for her. Really? When inside your soul, you want to jump off a building. Be honest. Or you feel overwhelmed to the point that you can't cope. I've been there. I'm very honest about that. I'll tell you that story. It won't even come because nothing can come into your world unbidden by you. That's what the Course says. Nothing. I called it by information, the frequency. This is all energy. I called it. Mama has a way of saying it. Now, Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks of it in terms of frequency, and frequency is information. So it's just the information that you're sending to the universe, and thank God the universe is responding to you. Yay! Even if you have a manifestation that's unlike what you wanted, at least you know the mechanism is working, that you're sending out the frequency and it's returning. So then wouldn't that make you say, well, let me just flip it to the frequency I do want? Just like that. The way Mama Ian talks about it is, you sent out the invitation for everything in your life. You just have to remember what the invitation said. The Bible says, as you read, as you sow, so shall you reap. You can't plant corn and get zucchini, and you can't plant corn and get pineapples. It's an impossibility. You can't say, I'm such a loving, kind, wonderful people, and your relationship is ratchet, boo. That's you. You can't say, health, happiness, and your body's all broke down. That's you. You can't say abundance, riches, wealth, prosperity, and your bank account is overdrawn. Boo, that's you. Now, that's how you send out a different frequency. You can't send out a different frequency if you don't think that you're the one inviting it. You don't see yourself as the inviter. And what the Course in Miracles says, everybody says it. Didn't Mama say, what goes around comes around? What goes around comes around. The way Reverend, the way Dr. Jiva says it is, everything's a boomerang. You threw out the boomerang. What does the boomerang do? It comes right back. Now, I told you 5 different ways that people say this, and I'll give you a 6th. Of Course in Miracles says, nothing can come into my world unbidden by me. That means everything that shows up in my world, I called it. It can't show up in your world unbidden by you. You want it. That's why you called, you sat down and you wrote out an invitation. I would like to have lack show up in my life in these forms. Overdrawn bank accounts, cancel. People that just don't pay me back. I give them money, they don't pay me back. Yep. Matter of fact, I think I'll use my family members to fulfill this part of what I want to play out in my life because, hey, they're the closest ones to me. Who else I got? They'll keep playing with me in this drama. You wrote the whole script, but you don't want to believe you did. The second I got that, I'm like, well, damn, I'm doing the whole damn thing. I'm doing all of it. Then I started doing something different. You can't see something different if you still see a perpetrator outside of yourself. Yes? Then you come into your almighty superpowers. Then it gets real fun because you start saying, okay, I'm going to cook up this kind of house. Okay, I'm going to cook up this kind of retreat center. And then you will apply your powers, your cosmic powers rightly. You will no longer destroy yourself. Some people are destroying themselves with the law of attraction. Some people are destroying themselves with the law of cause and effect. That's not going to make the law of cause and effect stop. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse for you in your life until you jump off a building. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Does that resonate, Rose?
Yes. Yes.
That's why I tell y'all every day.
Of course it does.
Yes.
You are the master teacher.
A family.
I'm so glad you. I apologize.
Go ahead, Harmony. Go right ahead.
Well, when you were talking about the charge, that resonated so well because when I tell you I feel charged right now, and I've just been I feel the charge. So much so that I've just been keeping to myself because the charge is something. Whew. In 2020, I had lost my grandmother due to stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and when we found out, they told us, oh, she might have 3 or 4 months. She had 36 hours, and she was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. She was like, I'm not going through 3 to 4 months of this. I'm out. So then when I found out my mother-in-law had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, I immediately went into grief because I knew what that meant. I immediately went into grief. So I started grieving before the loss occurred. And when I tell you about the charge, yesterday I was in the hospital visiting my girlfriend, and visiting hours ended at 7:45. So the nurse came in, and when I tell you, she said 3 times to me, technically, visiting hours are over. I mean, I was doing something in that moment. I was doing something on her computer, trying to get her on the internet so she could send out some billing. So I knew visiting hours were over. I was just trying to get the computer hooked up. And by the 3rd time, she said, technically, visiting hours are over. I'm like, let me leave for this bitch get cussed the fuck out because the charge I have right now, she'll get it for everything else that's going on, and it'll have nothing to do with her. She has no more time to tell me technically visiting hours are over, so I'm just about to stop abruptly what I'm doing and leave. So when you talk about the charge, and I know I'm so charged right now with electricity, I'm like, she's about to get something that doesn't even belong to her. So I just need to leave. So recognizing what it is and knowing what it is and processing through what it is and walking through what it is and watching the fears of other things that I may have around the subject of my mother-in-law with this transitional period. She's no longer speaking and she's on oxygen, so it'll be probably today or tomorrow. But just walking around with that charge, oof. That was powerful because I didn't even know what word to put on it. And then when you said it, I was like, that's what's happening. I got this electrical charge. And I just need to stay with myself until I get to the place of space of peace, serenity, and harmony. Because right now, I'm not my name. I'm complete.
Powerful. Powerful. Why am I charged up? That's a good question to ask ourselves. Someone just said visiting hours are over, and I'm about to go off on this chick in the hospital, and she's here, a nurse trying to take care of my loved one that probably is trying to tell me the person needs rest. and not so much stimulation, maybe of me being there or whatever. She's just trying to help, and I'm about to go off. Why am I kirking now? What's happening? That's when we get to look at ourselves, right, Harmony? I'm so happy for you because that means that we have awareness. We're not going to keep doing that. It's not a good look for a master to walk in a hospital and kirk off on a nurse. That's not a good look.
No, that wasn't a good look. So I was aware of all of my feelings in the moment. So I said before I go tick, tick, boom, let me just leave. So, but you know what? Being a part of this spiritual, because I used to always just go tick, tick, boom, but didn't care. I didn't care. So that's one thing that I'm so grateful for in this spiritual community, that now I have awareness of it. And when they say, when you know better, you have to do better. Because before I would just give it to whoever and not care. But now, whenever I feel that surge, I try to go within, and I do the pause, and I breathe, and I go within. And when that don't work, I just say, okay, let me remove myself from this area because I need to go be with myself and meditate on what is going on around me and within me, so that I don't cause those experiences where the other person gets something that has nothing to do with them. Spiritual community holds you accountable. I guess that's the biggest thing for me. It holds you accountable because you can't just. My license plate say blessed. Before that, I used to drive around with such road rage. How you gonna drive around with road rage and bless mobile cussing people out? So I feel like spiritual community just holds you accountable. You cannot be ratchet. I guess you could be ratchet and spiritual at the same time, but it probably wouldn't work out that well. So thank you. Like, if I hadn't had the lesson yesterday, if I hadn't been going through the Course of Miracles all of January, it might have had a different outcome yesterday. So I appreciate the place and the space that you offer us for safety, and a place that we can come to and talk about what the feelings are and work ourselves through whatever it is going on, because people need a safe place like this, because otherwise it would be a lot of people just going off and flying off the handle at every little thing. I'm complete.
I'm so glad you didn't go tick, tick, boom. I'm so happy. Oh, I won't tell you. Oh, what? Oh, what? We can do that. And there is another way of looking at the world. I can do it another way. I don't have to be my robotic, conditioned self. Congratulations, Harmony, on not going tick, tick, boom on the nurse. The nurse is helping.
I didn't even know that was a win until now. Woohoo! It was a win.
That is a huge win. It's a huge win. And when you're in a process like this, journal. Every day I got 2 journals, 2 of them. Journal. Because the revelations you will get, just like you just saw, Alina, it is up on the YouTube screen right now for YouTube and Facebook. 4 sessions are 1, love; 2, evolvement; 3, acknowledgement / acceptance; 4, release. She got her message. And anyone who wants to take that message, I'm taking it for myself as well. I wrote it down, okay? Anyone who wants to take that message for yourself, I would offer that you take it. It's on the buffet. You can have it too if you want to. Spirit didn't just give it to Alina just for her. Spirit gives it to all of us if you desire it. 1, love; 2, evolvement. That's telling me to evolve. 3, acknowledgement, acceptance, right? And 4, release. I love it. Who's up next?
Now it's Fire Fairy, and then Tania.
Come on, Fire Fairy. Hey, love.
I come bringing some treasure. So I just want to talk about many times that you made me mad. I'm so grateful that you made me mad, like many times. And when I first got into your classes, I was hurting myself, and I was just getting into dialectical behavioral therapy, and both things were pissing me off. But you know what? It was worth it. And it's funny because I'll just take me back to the Christian Witches Convention. But
that was a good one. We had almost a knockdown drag out, didn't we? Outside the Hawthorne Hotel.
Yeah. But you know what? That's one of my best memories of my life. I'm gonna be honest. Because on the airport, I was like, I still love Reverend Love.
Oh.
Even though I'm bad, I still love her. And I kept on thinking it was your fault, but it was not my fault. I wasn't seeing the bigger healing that was taking place. So I had just got sexually assaulted, and I thought I wasn't gonna go to the Christian Witches Convention, and I was gonna cancel the whole thing. And Gaia and Reverend Love are like, no, you should still come. Like, you need to be around, your spiritual family. Like, it's the worst thing to do for you to be alone right now. And I was like, yeah. And plus, I made a commitment too. So I went, and I was struggling with. I created all of this. Like, at that point, I was in Reverend Love classes for like. I'm gonna feel like almost a decade, or it's feeling like it was approaching a decade. I'm like, bad stuff keeps on happening, one thing after the other, like worse and worse and worse. I'm probably not like. Eventually, I had to take responsibility for it. And at the Hawthorne Hotel, weird stuff was happening. I didn't know that at the time. I had someone close to me who had transitioned, and I didn't find out till towards the end of the event. But I guess the spiritual energy in the Hawthorne Hotel was powerful enough for chairs to move on their own and stuff. And then that just wasn't making the experience any easier for me.
Look, we were staying at the most haunted hotel in all of Salem, and Salem is full of dead people that died tragically. So these kind of spirits, all kinds of spirits. That hotel got
like
more spirits.
And everything.
Yeah, it got more spirits than real people. I mean, human people.
There were spirits trying to like console me and stuff, and they just pull out a chair, and I'm like, oh no, not this again. I'm like, how many days can I put up with this? And then the whole time I was in pain, and I was like worried, like, how am I gonna get home? How am I gonna get home? I'm not paying attention to the lessons, and my angel's like, you're not paying attention to the lessons. And I'm like, I know, but I'm in a whole bunch of pain, and Reverend Love be like, God is not in pain. And I'm like, damn it. And I'm like just learning all these lessons. And finally towards the end, I fucking crack. And I'm like, Reverend Love, how am I gonna get home? And you're like, you're going to get yourself home. And I'm like, how? I don't have any money. And she's like, you need to go sit down and dive into the spirit. And I wasn't getting what she was saying, that I was gonna get myself home. The whole time, there was this lesson, that I avoided for like many, many years, that I was creating all this and I was not taking responsibility for it. And it like led up to me being sexually assaulted. And I was like, oh my God, and other people were like, you shouldn't be there. She's a scammer. And I'm like, but what she's saying is making sense. And I just don't want to believe it. And I have two choices, I can either give into the sadness and kill myself, or I can actually, take in what Reverend Love is telling me and actually fix this from the core. And people are like, no, you need therapy, you need medication. I'm like, that stuff has not helped me. I'm like, since attending Reverend Love's classes and dialectical behavioral therapy, I haven't cut myself.
Wow.
So I think this is the right path. On the medication, I was cutting myself, using drugs, not all there. And I was mad at you for so long, Reverend Love. It took me like a whole year to not be mad at you, because I felt like you were punishing me or something. But really, I was punishing myself. I was punishing myself the whole experience. Even though we create our negative experiences, it doesn't mean we should punish ourselves by continuing it. And I felt like that's what I was being taught the whole time at this Christian witches convention. I'm being a Christian witch. You know, some of us punish ourselves for being a Christian witch. And there, you know, I was supposed to learn, you know, how to stop punishing myself. And it was just weird. It was one of my most favorite memories in all my life, because it was the biggest mind fuck I ever experienced in my whole entire life. I had just, you know, left someone who had convinced me, well, an aspect of myself that somewhat still believed that I wasn't worthy of having my music heard. I wasn't worthy of being a leader. I wasn't worthy of healing people, healing myself. Like, all that stuff manifested in my life. And I had just walked away from it. And it took a horrible negative experience for me to walk away from it. But that was my bad. Because I could have decided earlier, because we actually have a choice. We can decide. I have gotten into an argument with a friend the other day, and I was like, there are people with no limbs who make music. No limbs, and they still find a way. They use their tongue to press buttons, something, and they do it. And I'm like, there is no excuse for me why I shouldn't be prosperous. There has to be a will or a way. Or technically I'm already prosperous, but you know, for more prosperity. And I'm like, and not just that, but for anything and everything I would like to happen, because I'm in the process of trying to develop a retreat center. And it's been a pain in the ass for the past 3 years. I'm part of this organization. And why did I mention that? I lost my train of thought. Oh, back to the lesson. So I got into an argument with them. And I was like, all this stuff is how we look at it. And I'm like, you should probably get into A Course in Miracles, but it's really how we look at it, and then we decide. We look at things a certain way, and then we decide. And I'm like, when I was in college, I had an English teacher told me that I was the most terrible writer and speaker. And if I would have listened to that English teacher, if I probably would have stayed in college, and I'm not telling people to drop out of college, but you would never hear me say, go to college. I would say, you know, use your money for what you want to do in life. But if I would have taken that English teacher seriously, more than one teacher had teachers tell me I couldn't act. You get beaten up in college. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes, you know, I feel like it's a test for you to do it anyways. Because since I've been in high school, teachers have be telling you, you'll never grow up to do this. You'll never grow up to do that. And we all did it anyways. But I was telling them, you know, all this shit is a decision. Like the people with the no limbs who are still making music. Like they decided I'm going to make music anyways. They decided in the face of the scary, fearful thing, I'm going to do it anyways. And it took me a couple of months after the Christian Witches Convention for me to realize, oh my God, I did the big, scary thing anyways. While my body had just been damaged in my mind, and I tried really hard, but then at the last moment, you know, the ticking time bomb went off. And I apologize for that, Reverend Love. I never told you.
No need to
apologize.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I know now. If I would have known what I know now, I would have enjoyed that day so much more better. But I did it. And then a lot of my resistance was coming up. Like people had died. Well, one person had died that I had made music with. While I was at the convention, and they had sent me a voice message telling me to help them. And I couldn't because I was in a different country. So it was really, really hard. And I'm actually grateful, you know, how tough love you were with me, because if you would have babied me and coddled me, I would not have went into myself. And actually, you know, there's like a certain switch you have to like flip on. And that isn't always with coddling someone. Like you have to like develop the muscle to like use your subconscious mind and your energy. And you know what? It's the very thing that scares us. that's in between you and that switch of empowerment. Like you're afraid to flip on that switch of, oh, I did this. I can create my way out of this. But it's everything that scares you, everything that triggers you, everything that you're running from. And I didn't want to believe it back then, but now, almost hitting 30, I'm pretty sure, your independence is on the other side of what scares the hell out of you, what makes you cry, what makes you break down. And we think that when we cry and break down, it's going to kill us. We forget that, these things are going to pass. And, we're going to be able to evaluate them, analyze them. But we get so wrapped up in the feeling, we think that it's going to kill us for us to face our past or to face, the things that we created. And it's the complete opposite. You begin to live again once you face, you face one thing and then you learn to live a little bit more. And you face another thing and you learn to live a little bit more. And then when you start running from all that stuff, you're not living. I did that for like 20 years of my life. From kindergarten, first day of kindergarten, I try to run, make a break for it. Dad, I call the security guards and close the school down. So from the very beginning, I was running. I ran away as a teenager. The cops would always be looking for me. It was so traumatic. I would not go home. I was like, I'd rather eat out of dumpsters than live with an abusive parent. And that got me into foster care eventually. But I was always running. And even the mental health system is all about running and suppressing. They give you the pills, drugs. People run through drugs, or they can run through drugs. I believe recreational usage and diving in can be a healing experience, but like drug addiction, that's a form of running. And all this stuff has everything to do with we run from that big crazy storm that we have to drive through to where our independence is. The person that we were before we listened to everyone else and got scared to be that person. Because when we were a baby, I can somewhat kind of remember, and not just that, I have like weird past life memories of even some of the people in my life. Like I know some people in my life, they're alien form. And I also know some conversations before we came to Earth, like I'm going to be this person, you're going to be that person. And I remember some of that. But I'm pretty sure as a baby, we come into this world and we're like, okay, I'm supposed to do this, this, and this. And then we go to school and then we're judged, with grades and classes. And we become filled with self-doubt, fear, afraid of being judged or being told, you failed, all kinds of stuff. And that kind of messes with you too. And then your family members too, they tell you what religion you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to love, not supposed to love, what job you're supposed to get, et cetera, et cetera. And then you chose to believe it. It was all a choice, a decision. It was all a choice and decision. And I don't care how bad something is, you can always I know for sure there's some more horrible things that happen after the Christian Witches Convention. And, in this universe, you're not exempt from anything. Anything can happen to you at any time. Doesn't matter where you are. Like, the airplane engine can fall in through your roof and you could die, but don't get scared, Just really crazy stuff can happen in this world. Like stuff you would never expect or you think that you're exempt from. And no one's exempt from that shit. But it's what you decide to do when that stuff happens. That's what's going to determine your future. Like you have that power to decide in the moment of chaos what you are going to do. That's your free will. No matter what happens, no matter how horrible it is. You just have to really remember that. On the other side of that scary thing lies your freedom. And when something bad happens, it's probably to remind you, hey, you weren't really free. You created this prison that now must come undone. Or if not, it's probably going to turn into a disease. Or you're probably going to learn it through the loss of another one. I realized these past couple of days, and not even these past couple of days, but since the coronavirus started, I lost a couple of people before coronavirus. I didn't really grasp the lesson that people don't exist for you. They're not here to heal you. They're not here to save you, provide for you, not even your parents. That's shit you made up. All that depends on you. And it was very selfish of me to ever think that people existed for me and they're supposed to help me and cater to me. Because if that's done to you your whole life, you're never going to learn how to fly. You're never going to learn how to create your way out of things. You're always going to be a victim. Like, always be very wary of when people coddle you. Because coddling and catering to you, that doesn't make you strong. But teaching people independence, like what you do, Reverend Love, you teach people independence, that's worth it. Like, that lasts us a whole lifetime. You know, that'll get you through anything and everything. That'll remind you of your choice. You have a choice, and you can decide for something to be easy or hard. I don't have the words hard in my vocabulary when I'm making music. I never have a writer's block. The word hard does not exist to me. You can remove the word hard out of your vocabulary. It's okay for things to be easy. I mean, you're a master manifester. You're a god, a godling. Things should be easy. But unless you decide otherwise, I'm complete.
Wow, Fire Fairy. I had to bring up your picture on YouTube and Facebook so everyone can see your picture of the free spirit you are. I so adore you. Fire Fairy is one of my favorite people in the whole world. I so adore you, Fire Fairy. And you're always so free and so creative and so not afraid to be yourself. There's so many things I admire about you, your innocence, your holiness, the childlike spirit, and a powerful being. I got the inclination in my spirit that you could fly back to California if you wanted to from Salem, Massachusetts. And I have to tell you something. Fire Fairy had a tremendous amount of courage to get on a plane from California. He had to do a lot to get there. The airplane wasn't near him. He had to do a lot to get there. And he got there. And wow.
I just kept telling myself it was easy. Because I've traveled, across the country as a child. Many times I'm like, this is easy. I've done this before. And it was like a 6-hour train ride to the airport. The airport was in San Francisco. I just kept telling myself, this is easy. It don't matter what's happening. It's easy. But then I cracked at the end. I'm so sorry, Reverend Love. I'm still in human form.
Amazing. 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 You did it. You did it. You got the lesson. You took it. You ran with it. Amazing. Amazing. I applaud you. I applaud you. Zaire, you're going to wrap us up before we go to our card for the day on our Galactic Signature for the day. Go Zaire. I love it. You must have heard me coming for you, Zaire, because I was about to call you. I was about to message you on WhatsApp and say, how come you're so quiet in the room? I don't hear from you. What's happening? Hey, love.
Hey, Casey. Hey, everyone. Yes, I love all of you all shares, and I love everyone's spiritual glow ups. It's definitely wonderful to hear everything. So I had a quick question, since we was on the topic of death, and that is, how do you respond to when someone have a death in the family? And because I get kind of stuck like a deer in the headlights. I'm just I'm sorry for your loss or my condolences, but it's something in my spirit. It just feels like it's just surface level. It doesn't feel like I don't want to say my truth,
you know, but it's just like, I'm like, what is the proper way to respond to someone when they're like in grief and they just saying, you know, like my loved one had just passed away. So I would love to hear your perspective about that.
What's really going on for you when someone tells you that they're all the pieces and someone in their family just passed away? And what is going on inside of you in that moment?
For me, I'm very neutral because I'm just like, oh, okay, well, because I know death is only a door for another portal for me. So within myself, I'm just like, oh, okay, like this the cycle, this is the circle of life type of thing. So like I really don't really feel any, like I guess I have like empathy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of odd for me, and I don't want to say I'm embarrassed to say it because I really don't really feel anything. But I feel like I'm not supposed to. But I'm just like, well, how do I comfort, like as a human, you know, to another human, and like that's kind of how I feel. It's kind of like, oh, that's like I'm sorry, but that's not the end of you know life because energy never dies. Of course, I mean I understand missing someone because of course I would be still sad and you know have my grieving process with someone close to me as well. So it's not that I don't care, like I can understand that, but overall, like I know like we're spiritual beings and death is only a door. So that's how I feel as of now.
Could it have something to do with your experience with your mom passing when you were a child,
Yes.
and the fact that you are in connection with her and you know that there's so much more beyond this life?
Yes, I definitely do feel that way. Yes, I believe so. Yes, I think so. Yes.
Because once you know, you can't unknow what you know. Once you know this whole thing is a big charade, you can't unknow it. Yeah, that's why spirit reels me in sometimes because I'm like, fucking stop praying. Who are you praying to? There ain't nobody else. And spirit is like, well, there are people that still need to believe in prayer. They still need to do that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'd be just like, I'm over it. It's over, you know? And spirit is like, that's where you may be in this moment, and no one's better or worse or farther advanced or less advanced. Everyone's where they're supposed to be. Yet there are still people that do that, that hold that belief. You're having a similar experience to the experience I have with people who say you can't be a Christian witch. At first, I used to be like, and then I went through a whole lot of emotions, and then I went through, oh, whatever, right? Dismissive, and now I'm getting to a place of deep compassion that people really believe that a religion defines you. They have totally given up their power to a religion. And because the religion says you can't do it, they have completely shunned, given away, given up, sacrificed all their divine power to name yourself, even though the Bible says you have power, life and death is in your tongue. You have the power to name yourself. Christian witch, Islamic witch, Buddhist, Hindu shaman. You have the power to name yourself. You're a divine being. You know what's right for you. You're led by something higher than the lower mind. They have given up all of that in the name of what they were told and brainwashed to believe. So I went through many, that's why Christian witches is a great evolution for me. And one of the 4 words from Alina is evolvement, evolve. It is a great evolution for me because I see myself going through many, many, many emotions about these people. Sometimes I was afraid. Sometimes I was mad. Sometimes I was disgusted. Oh, whatever. And all these are things I hold for myself in contempt. That's just my own inner contempt. Because you can't bring what you don't have. You can't bring contempt to other people if you don't have it. People that are dishing out contempt have it. You can't dish out what you don't have. What everyone has is love and compassion because that's what everyone is. So Zaire, maybe, the compassion of, I love the word you used, empathy, that you can still put yourself in someone else's shoes, that they really believe somebody died. They really believe that. And I'm telling you, these illusions that we have made up on the third dimension, they're quite convincing. You will see somebody laying their blood out or breath out, and it will look like they died. It's very convincing. And then you have a conversation with a 50-foot soul in the bathroom, and you're like, okay, my mind, this whole third dimension is a complete charade. It's a complete illusion. Right? Is that it, Zaire? Well, you are on the galactic tone, so that's another thing. The galactic tone is a tone of integrity. That means we have to see and peer through to the truth of everything and be in integrity. And most people don't want to be that truthful.
Yes, exactly, Taisi. I definitely am seeing all of this in life. It's like a huge charade. It's like you were saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's just so much more to this. But it's just like you were saying, like with the compassion. So I'm like, okay, like I feel like it would be cold for me to be like, yo, like they still alive, like so I'm just like I need to, I guess, learn what are the correct words at that moment of how to console, or I guess I can just be like, I don't know what to say. And I've been doing that lately. If they come to me and people's all sad, I'm just like, I don't know what the right words to say, because like I don't want to come off as someone who has no emotions, because that's not the case. Because of how I see life now, like the lens that I'm looking through life. So that's just where I'm at. But I would definitely like to be more compassionate when it comes to people in their grieving process, because I definitely have gone through there, and I'm sure I will go through it again sometime in my life as well. But so that's why I just wanted to bring that question to you.
Compassion, like the Dalai Lama says, is my religion. I love the Dalai Lama. He said, compassion is my religion. May said, I am the same as Tania. I think a deeper question going on here is, what do we do with the muggles? You're a magical being. You know this whole thing is Maya. You know it's a matrix. You're in touch with your gifts. You do magic. When you ain't even trying to do magic, you just manifesting things, and you're like, oh damn. You know you're supernatural. You know you're forever. You're talking to spirits. You're talking to people that have passed on. You're talking to angels. They show up at the foot of your bed and tell you something amazing. You're hearing messages from heaven, like a line. You're doing all that, and then you see somebody next to you who's just they're laying on the floor, sprawled out on the floor, because maybe their mom just passed. Which me and Tania both had that experience of our moms passing. And my mom talks to me, said, maybe this book that's coming out called Messages from My Dead Mother, I don't really want to call it that yet. That's the title that came to me as a title that people will get it right away, what the book is about. My mom be haunting all of us all the time on the regular, okay? Mom is more present now than when she was in a body, because when she was in a body, she couldn't go around to all of us all at the same time. That old mom is getting her life on the other side. And for the first time, when my mother lifted into, as Abraham says, an expanded experience, she could see my witch for what it was. That's when she came into acceptance of me being a witch, and herself as a witch, and a bloodline as a witch, as witches. That's when it connected, when she was out of the body, because when she was in the body, she was a staunch Jehovah's Witness. staunch. Okay. Yeah. This is a very.
Is it that though, Rev?
Say that again.
Is it that? Like, when I was listening to you speak about the mindset and the consciousness of magical beings in regards to Tania's question, I truly believe that being magical and being in spiritual community helps through experiences of grief and loss and death. But I remember I was 3 years old when my mother's brother passed away, and he had died abruptly. He had pneumonia. He got somehow got electrocuted in the hospital. 26 years young. And after my grandmother experienced that loss, she was, as a child, it looked like cold. She was very cold to death. I watched her when both of her parents transitioned. She had 11 siblings, and 9 of them went before her. I watched as she lost all these people, and she never shed any tears. And she always would say, "I lost my son, I can lose anybody. Can't do nothing about that." That was her response to whoever it was. Oh. So when Tania first asked the question, before you responded, I immediately thought to myself, it was because she lost her mother at such a young age. So it's like, I feel as though, like, when you have a loss that is so impactful, and when it's like that, like when Tania lost her mother, like, she was very young. So to me, it feels like she was still connected. Like, that was before, like, the world beat out of her who she really was. Because, when we were young, I remember when I was a little girl, I was doing all kinds of magical stuff until people beat it out of me. So you're still really connected with Source. So I feel as though maybe, I don't know, I feel like when you have that great of a loss, it kind of desensitizes you to any other loss of that kind. And in my opinion, I could be wrong, but when I was listening to her speak, it just reminded me of when my grandmother lost her son so young, and after that, she didn't care who was in the casket. She was like, can't do nothing about that. That was her response. So now it's a joke when we talk about her and we get all sad. We're just like, can't do nothing about that, because that's what she said. No matter who it was, she never even looked in the casket. Can't do nothing about that. And to me, it just seems so cold. I'm like, what do you mean? That's your mama in there. That's your daddy. That's your sister. That's your brother. Like, all of these people. And she would just shrug and say, can't do nothing about that. And it was all after she lost her first child. So when Tania was sharing, that's immediately came to me. I'm like, well, she lost her mama. Like, what can you lose after that? That could be so impactful besides maybe a child. So I don't know. That was just my thoughts. It's just being in the magical community, in the spiritual community. I feel like I definitely have the tools and resources to get through. But since, my grandmother was probably my biggest loss. I still have both my parents and my siblings. So I don't know, maybe after going like that, maybe I'm completely desensitized from anything else afterwards. I'm complete.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is, Taya. I love that you said that, because when you said that, I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. Like, I feel desensitized to death, like from a very early age, because my mom passed away when I was 11. So yeah, that's how I feel, and that's why I want to learn how to be, I guess, more compassionate when people come to me in their grieving times, and not, I feel like I'm acting. That's kind of what it feels like.
Was being desensitized to death not a good thing? Was it a bad thing? How is it being perceived?
For me, I take it as a great thing, great of death, because I'm like, oh, death is an illusion. Like, Dr. Gosh, I can't believe I just got a name freeze.
Dr. Hugh Lynn, Haleakala?
Yes. Thank you, Casey. Yes. Like he said, he was like, we said none of us ever die. We just experience death. And he said, I forgot exactly what he said, but he's like, we never die. We just experience what is called to be, what is called death. It's just an experience. And so I'm just like, yeah, it's just an experience. I mean, it probably, it sucks when, someone that is close to us, go on. Like I said before, I'm sure someone that I'm really close to, of course, I'm going to cry and still feel that way. But like, I feel like I am desensitized, and I look at it as a positive thing. And however, it still feels as though it could be perceived as being non-compassionate.
Very interesting. Do you remember in Divergent when they were showing her part of your training to be in this clan she wanted to be in of all the courageous people, right? They were in factions. And to be in this particular faction, you had to face all your fears because supposedly these people were fearless. And do you remember that they put her in a box? It looked like a glass box, rectangular, and she was in there. And they started filling it with water. And she was panicking, like, oh my God, it's a glass box. And they're filling it with water, and it's like, oh. Now this is all just playing on your own mind. And another one, the birds were getting her. This is your own mind. This was nothing that they were concocting. This is just some serum that they shoot in you, and you see your own worst fears. So this is your own mind. So she was in this box, and the water was filling up, and of course, panic. And then all of a sudden, she said, "This is not real." She was fighting. She was banging on the glass, panic, trying to get out. And then all of a sudden she came into realization and she said, "This is not real." And she tapped on the glass with her finger like this, tap, tap, and the glass shattered and it broke and she was free. She was out. Like that's what starts happening as you continue to ascend. That's what's supposed to happen. You are supposed to see the matrix for what it really is. It's not real. All the monks, the gurus, the sages, the saints, the yogis, the mystics, they've all told us the same thing. This whole thing is Maya. It's illusion. It's not real. You are birthless, deathless, breathless, timeless. This is a great facade. And you have no further to look. So when you start coming to that realization, it's kind of hard to you can't unknow what you know. So it's kind of, you just won't be going down in the pit because you're like, that's not real. Like we made that up. It's almost like finding out that a lady with wings was coming and putting money under your pillow every time you lost a tooth. Your eyes open. As someone said earlier about Apostle Paul, scales fall from your eyes. You no longer see things the way you used to see them. You no longer are falling apart at death. It is what it is, and it's not from a place of denial. It's from a place of knowing the truth. It says in the word, the truth, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Truth sets you free, because you're like, a death in this dimension is a birth in another dimension, so shouldn't we be celebrating? But if you said that at a funeral, all the muggles will look at you like, heartless, cruel. Like, okay. I mean, you can't get yourself to cry because you're like the person standing. I cannot tell you how many funerals I've been to. One time I spoke at a funeral. They asked me to speak at the funeral. And the man was standing right up on stage wearing white, looking at everybody. I was like, okay, here we go again. So you can't be all, that's for people that don't really want to see. And no problem, because I used to be there. I couldn't handle it. That's what I thought. I couldn't handle the truth. So just leave me in my beautiful illusions. But when you start reading books like Power of Now, The Four Agreements, no one makes this simpler and plainer. I'm going to bring it up right now on screen share. No one makes this simpler and plainer than Don Miguel Ruiz. If you want to see just how much the Four Agreements, There we go. 4 agreements. If you want to see just how deep into the matrix we are, just get the 4 agreements, a Toltec wisdom book. Just get the 4 agreements. Because I don't know anyone who makes it more simple and clear that you are in a matrix. None of this is real. You're in a complete matrix. Quantum physics says the same thing. The only thing that is real is absolute reality, the quantum field. And everything that's here, the Bible has told you the same thing. It keeps changing. I'm God, I do not change. Therefore, the only thing that is real, and the Course tells you this too, the only thing that is real cannot be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Nothing unreal exists. That's literally why we're here, to have a realization that all is, it's a great big matrix. And it's liberating to find that out. That shouldn't take us into nihilism. It ought to enthuse us that now you're a spirit being, you're God among gods, but a lot of the gods are still asleep. You are a God among gods. Never think yourself better or less than anyone. Yet many of the gods are still asleep. And what I do is, I make it simple. I make it about love. This is what I do, Zaire. Everything is love or a call for love. Everything is love or a call for love, which means there is only ever one response to everything, and that is love. What would love do? And then love will tell you what to do in that moment. And sometimes what I say is love and blessings for your family, love and blessings, because, if you say something like, ain't no such thing as death, that would be a heartless, cruel thing to say to people in the middle of a death experience, and they believe it. It's not kind, right? And it's not compassionate. So I say love and blessings. Love and blessings for you and your family.
Thank you. I love that. Yes. No, that to me feels sincere for me to say versus I'm sorry for your loss. So thank you for that. I'm going to adopt that from now on. Thank you, Kaisi.
Wow. And look at Royal Boss. Royal Boss on YouTube says, I was literally just crying about my kid's dad being shot and killed last year, and something made me click this live. Look at that. Robier, look at Roberto. Robert. He says, I love this, Tania. As a blue cosmic hand, it starts. I endure in order to know. I often feel like, OMG, how can I truly respond when a soul is in grief over death? Isn't that the truth? Yet afterwards, souls have said, I felt great comfort in your words or silence. That's a powerful one too, the sacred silence, that we don't always have to say something. A hug is a beautiful thing. A handhold is a beautiful thing. Arm in arm, I got you, I'm here. We underestimate the power of our presence. Someone's here with me in this, and the person that's here with me in this knows the truth. That's super powerful. The person that is in this with me, and that I might not see in the moment that the person that's in this with me, God sent them to me because they know the truth. I haven't woken up yet because I just like sleeping. That is powerful, Zaire. This is what it's like to be a God on the planet. This is what it's like to be Jesus. Was Jesus taken in by any of our moans and groans and all of it? When people said, oh, my child is dying, he saw a whole caravan. They were just crying to pieces. You never saw Jesus cry over a dead person. He said, the girl is sleeping. They said, what do you mean sleeping? No, she's dead. He said, get up. Same with Lazarus. He said, I have to go now because Lazarus fell asleep. He knew it telepathically from far away. They were like, well, if he fell asleep, is he going to wake up? Like, do you go to your friend's house? I mean, they didn't have cars. There was no airplanes. He had to walk miles to get to where Lazarus. Yeah, I'm going to go over to Lazarus because he fell asleep. What? He could hear the grief from Mary and Martha. Oh, brother. It was like he fell asleep. And then he came, oh my God, we're so happy you came, Savior. Save us from our grief and our, oh, Savior. He said he's sleeping. No, he's not asleep. How dare you? We put him in he's been in there for 3 days. He said, roll a stone away. No, we can't do it. The body's going to puke, stink to high heaven. He said, roll a stone away. I mean, you can just imagine Jesus like, drama, drama, drama. These humans don't get it. Greater works than these shall you do. Roll a stone away. Lazarus, come on out. Man, come out with the bandages. It's a metaphor to tell you there's no such thing as death. And we know deep in ourselves that that's the truth. But there's a part of us that don't want to know it yet. Because we like to stay asleep, because when you sleep, you don't have no responsibilities, so you think. But then you happen onto a video or a clubhouse room that tells you, boo, you are responsible. You are responsible for your divinity and your godness. And are you going to step up to the plate or not? That's all. It sounds like everyone in this room and on this stream is stepping up to the plate. That's what it sounds like to me. And with that, we are going to go to our card for the day. What is it, Harmony?
Thank you,
Of course, Zaire, I love you. Zaire, we've been doing this a long time. I can tell you the day I met Zaire. We were at a goddess event, but they didn't want to hear nothing about magic. It was very interesting. We were at a goddess event, but they didn't want to hear anything about magic. They were kind of looking at me with the side eye because they were still rooted. Did you notice that, Zaire? They were still kind of rooted in the Christian thing.
Yes, I noticed, and I noticed your presence too. I remember when people was walking in, because I got there kind of early, and like people was like, where is she? Where is she? And then it was a lady, and I was like, is that her? Because I never saw you physically before, but I always felt like I knew, like when I saw your photo in the picture, I was like, I know her. And so when this lady came in, she kind of resembles you a little bit, but I'm just like, nah, something don't feel right. Like it was just a little like dull, like her energy or whatever. So I'm like, that can't be her. But when you walked in, Kaisi, I was like, that's her. Like your energy, your light just filled up the whole entire space. And I was like, that is definitely her. So yes, I still remember that day.
It was in Maryland. It was in Maryland. And I think it was because of God is in Love with You, or one of my books. I used to go to a lot of book signings and a lot of circles and a lot of spiritual events. I loved it. And that's how I cut my teeth. It was in the room. It wasn't virtually. Everything was in the room. And I'm telling you, it was a house full of goddesses. I mean, it was packed. It was all these goddesses in there. And I started talking. I had all my white, I'm the speaker and I have all this white on. And I started speaking to them. And I'm telling you, I could tell that mostly all of them were looking at me like, what are you talking about? Except one. Zaire was sitting on the edge of her chair like, yep. Like she knew everything I was talking about. And we've been on it since. How long ago was that? 15, 16 years? How old were you? 19?
I was 19. This was in January. This was in January of 2008, because I remember, because I first quote unquote awakened in October 7th, 2007. I always remember that's when a light switch went on. I became aware. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a conscious being. And that's when I was like, well, if I know this information, I said, I gotta have physical teachers here. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to attract a physical teacher. And then bam, you came. So that's how I knew. I was like, oh, there goes my teacher.
Wow. That was 2008. That was even before YouTube. That was before YouTube. And I tell you, that was the purpose that Spirit had me at that event. So it doesn't matter. You go to an event, it could be 200-300 people there. You may be there for one, or you're the one. I'm telling you, she was on it. And she was 19. I was like, some of these old ass people up in here, 40, 50 years older, you still in the matrix, looking at me like, what? She 19 and she got it. Come on, let's roll. I'm going to roll with the 19-year-old because the rest of y'all, maybe y'all too old to come out the matrix. I don't know. Let me not be mean. It's never too old to come out the matrix. They weren't there yet. However, do you remember? I know you know Tracy, right? Because me and Tracy, we were chatting back and forth on Instagram and Facebook. Of course, Tracy had this friend. I won't name her name right here. Tracy had a friend, and her friend was very Christian. You know, one of them kind of Christians that's, you know, speaking in tongues and I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, you know, all this stuff that they have canned lines. They have like about 20 canned lines that they say, maybe 10. It's the script, right? They're going by the script. Well, and nothing wrong with the script because you need a script until you learn your own lines from your own inner teacher. People give you a script that's good. It tells you don't lie, don't steal, don't go grabbing somebody else's husband and wife and sexing them. And you know, these are important things to understand. Else you might get shot. That's what the 10 Commandments need to say. Oh, you roll up on the wrong person's husband or wife, you're gonna get shot. The bottom line of it is this, that if you are in the matrix and you may be Christian or you don't want to see, you are not going to see until you want to, you're ready, and it's for you. Then the teacher will appear. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I don't say anything that Christ didn't already say. He said it. And then we read where A Course in Miracles comes from. It came from Christ. The voice started talking to her. And this was a woman who was an atheist who received A Course in Miracles. So you ought to see miracles in your life. What we know is if miracles do not occur, something has gone wrong. You ought to see miracles. You ought to expect miracles. You ought to be living a miraculous life. What's the card for the day, Harmony? You're going to laugh.
The Lover's card.
Ding, 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 ding. I got it up on the
I
screen.
to the top of the room because I knew it.
What is happening right now? What is it? We must really need some divine love or something.
We need some love.
We need love.
How you loving?
How you loving? The Lovers is going to make us walk out divine love this year. That's what the Lovers is going to do. Because 7 times in 33 days, I got the message loud and clear. Loud and clear. Galactic Signature for the day. You doing it, Harmony?
Sure.
Or Zaire? You got it, Zaire? Zaire or Harmony?
Well, it's in her color if she wants to do it. I thought it was her for a minute, but it's not.
We got Sky Clan today. Yes. We got Sky Clan today.
All right, so today is Kin 155, Blue Crystal Eagle. I dedicate in order to create. Universalizing mind. I seal the output of vision with the crystal tone of cooperation. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. I am a galactic activation portal. Enter me. I dedicate in order to create. Universalizing mind. I seal the output of vision with the crystal tone of cooperation. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. I am a galactic activation portal. Enter me. I dedicate in order to create. Universalizing mind. I seal the output of vision with the crystal tone of cooperation. I am guided by the power of accomplishment. I am a galactic activation portal. Enter me. Blue Crystal Eagle.
Ding, 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 ding. We got a Blue Eagle day, guided by a vision, and you got accomplishment. Anytime you put vision and accomplishment together, you must succeed. You must. All right, everyone on Clubhouse, send some love to everyone on YouTube, Facebook, everyone everywhere, all over the cosmos. Send some love. We love you.
Love y'all. Love you all. Love you too.